ReAnimateHer.
I know, it just sounds like a porno all of a sudden. Some zombies start stripping their clothes off and shit.
Captain, details later.
We got our ball cleavage back, ladies.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. They're coming for you, Barbara.
Do you want to game and get your jollies off as well? This is Coffee Chat of Horrors. Good morning, serial killer. Hello, Toxic. And here we are with Vincent DiSanti of Womp Stomp Films.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing quite well. How is everybody doing in the Horde? How was your Sunday? How was your weekend going?
So far, it's pretty off to a good start. We got the Never Hike Alone Blu-rays in this week, along with some Never Hike Alone. Or did I say Never Hike Alone? I also meant Never Hike in the Snow, which is one everyone's been waiting for, along with some more Never Hike Alone stuff. We also got some of the VHS types that started coming in. So it's really cool, sort of, to be at the back end of this campaign that we've been on for so long, since the start of the pandemic, since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we're finally being able to wrap that up, and now that everything's kind of opening up, and we've been able to get access to our vendors, and our vendors have been able to get access to the materials that they need. It's it's starting to move a little bit more like normal, and so we started shipping this week. So it's been a crazy week.
Nice. Well, yeah, I remember.
How's your weekend going?
It's going pretty good. It's raining here, so we're stuck inside the house yet again because there's more rain. But was excited for today's show.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been able to update everybody on everything that we've been going on too.
Yeah, the last time we spoke was on live stream was July 12th of 2020. So you were just almost a full year since we've had you on the show, and I think we were on a different platform then. I don't remember. Possible,
yeah.
Ooh, Lament Butterfly wants to know: is there any chance of this being released on Betamax?
I don't know. When that trend kicks up, then we'll jump on that one too. It's great. I mean, VHS sells really well. I mean, every time we do a VHS batch, they sell out. They're it's like one of the fastest things that sell. So if you're doing a crowdfunding campaign for a movie, offer a VHS version at a premium price, and people will pay for it. It's a good way to make some money for your film.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yes, Lament Butterfly, she's a collector, and she does Betamax.
Yeah, that's the next one. The Laserdisc will get the big. In fact, our producer, Kyle Klein, he has a gigantic Laserdisc collection. Last time I went to his house in Seattle, he showed it to me. It's unreal, but they're just so not practical. They're not practical pieces of hardware.
Ah, that's funny. Well, yeah, no, they're not. Lament saying that she has the VHS version, but she really wants a Betamax and a laser disc.
All right. Well, look at production was hard enough for these two things. Let's see. I'd be interested to see who is doing the replications for this stuff. That would actually be really funny. Yeah.
Mama Ducky wants to know: do you do your films in a full screen or a widescreen?
I mean, I'm trying to remember. We shoot full screen. I believe the sensor that we shoot on with the camera that we shoot with has a full screen sensor, and then we make them widescreen. So we usually, most of my projects have been 2:3:9. But I have shot stuff that's 4:3. I shot an IMAX style short for Ben Meredith when we tested the Sony Venice camera, and I think Pathosis, I didn't direct. That's Austin's film. I think he had that in 2:3:5. I think he had that a little bit more scopy because they shot that with anamorphic lenses. So, I mean, really, when it comes down to what we shoot, like, it usually depends on the project. If the project calls for a specific aspect ratio, that's what we go for. But usually, when we record it full frame, and then we adjust it to what we want.
Oh, nice. Right on. I hope that answered your question there, Mama Ducky, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you guys for all of the hosts. I appreciate it. I remember the last time we spoke to you in July, things were just, you were just doing stuff for Never Hike in the Snow. And now that I hear you're co-writing and co-producing a movie called Jason Rising, And I hear that you are co-producing Dylan's new Nightmare, which is a fan-made film on Nightmare on Elm Street. You want
Yes.
to give us a little information on Jason Rising, and then you can go into New Nightmare?
Totally. So I think fans may be familiar with Jason Rising. That's been a project that's been going on for about 2.5 years. It was delayed due to COVID. We were supposed to shoot the final scenes this time last year, or even, sometime maybe May or June of last year, and we're unable to do so. So we had to wait it out. We waited it out, and we were able to shoot the final scenes a few weeks ago. I was up in Portland with Carl and James, who are the two guys who are running that show, and they did an amazing job. We had a lot of fun. I got to play a security officer that works at the corrections farm where the film takes place.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the plot of Jason Rising, it basically follows two Wessex County deputies as they go and search for escaped convicts from the Wessex County Corrections Officer. They're joined by two federal marshals, Bear and Jed. But turns out that these these fugitives run into the land of Crystal Lake and awaken not only Jason Voorhees, but they also awaken his mother, Pamela Voorhees, who comes back as a headless corpse who murders people. And so that was what drew me to the project. When I originally saw the first trailer, I asked them, I said, do you really have a zombie Pamela that's walking around smashing people with stuff? And they were like, yeah, that's the idea. And so I was like, I'm in. How do I help? And so after that, we became really good friends, Carl, James, and I. Started working with their team. Eventually came on as a co-writer to help them sort of pen out some ideas and come up with a broader spectrum for the film. As far as like story wise, and then help them execute it. So we filmed a sort of the first opening moments of the film, I think in 2019. That's streaming on YouTube right now if you want to see it on their page. And then we started going to work, and like most fan films, they were piecing it together and going through. COVID hit. We had to wait a year, and then we finally got to finish. So what they're doing right now is they have an Indiegogo going right now to sort of give everyone their last chance to get their name in the credits, help with post-production on the film, because that's what they're doing right now. And the planned release date for that film is Friday the 13th in August. There's lots of really cool surprises in there. It actually has Anna Campbell from Never Hike in the Snow. That's actually where we got Anna Campbell from to play Diana Hill in Never Hike in the Snow, was Jason Rising. She plays Deputy Eve Glover. Kyle Vahan he plays Pete Daltrey. And then we have Dan Kyle as Jason Voorhees. And then the rest of the cast, Bear Wilson, played by Jerry, Jed, played by, I feel Jason Reynolds. So lots of really good cast of characters, a lot of fun characters. James Sweet, who's the director. He definitely has like a Ted Raimi sort of kind of humor to him. So he likes to inject humor. It's still scary, but it's got a lot of fun into it. So I'd say it definitely got that tone, and I really like sort of what he brought to the table. So the film is a lot of fun. It's a Friday the 13th film, but there's also some Evil Dead in there. So I think fans will like this sort of mashup of storytelling between the two. But James is a huge Friday fan, and we're excited about this one. So Friday the 13th in August, definitely prepare yourselves for that. And then the other project, Dylan's New Nightmare, is something that I partnered up with Cecil Laird at the Horror Show out of Phoenix, Arizona, where we're doing a direct sequel to Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. So this film stars Miko Hughes, who played Dylan Porter as a young child, now an adult. He's returning in the same role that he played as a child, as an adult version of Dylan Porter, who's dealing with sort of life, as we get into adulthood, can play all sorts of fears on us, and those fears allow the Freddy demon to start to gain strength and attempt to come back into the real world. So once again, Dylan will have to face Freddy and keep him sort of out of our world, but of course Freddy will be up to his tricks, and we'll see what he can to do to pull that off. So right now, that was a project that was also delayed due to COVID. We never got a chance to start filming. We had all of our locations booked. We were ready to start shooting in summer of last year. COVID stopped that from happening, and we just decided, instead of trying to raise money for a COVID-safe production or try to do anything like that, we're like, let's just wait it out and shoot it when it's not going to cost extra money, on top of the fact that we did a first run crowdfund campaign and raised about 75% of our funds. But we were kind of stretching the budget kind of thin there, and we were like, if we try to do a COVID safe production and add people and get all this equipment and all the extra steps, it's going to be really tough for us to achieve what we want in the script. So we decided to wait. We've come back a year later. Our current plan is to shoot sometime this fall. So we're crowdfunding once again to make up that last 25% of our budget that we were hoping to raise. It's on Indiegogo right now, also crowdfunding. We're up to about $1,600 in the first few days, which isn't that bad.
No.
We set the goal at $500 just to sort of take whatever we can get because
Right.
hey, something's better than nothing, right? So if you backed it last time, this may be an opportunity to pick up something else that you didn't quite get. If you didn't know about the project, now's the time to check it out. See what's in there, see if there's something there for you, or if you weren't able to help last time and you do want to help this time, now's the time. But yeah, we're going to keep this open probably all summer while we're shooting. So, but the faster we get this money, the more we can put it into the production right now. We actually were in production on a lot of the pre-production for the special effects. So those things are actually pretty far along, and there are just a couple of things that we have to finish there. So that's mostly what we're raising funds for right now, is to get that sort of stuff finished, make sure that we can finish that stuff. And then our goal is to raise an excess amount of the money that we need, which is around $5,000 to $10,000. So we can put that into the post-production, VFX, practical effects, sounds, color, the whole 9 yards. The back end of the production usually costs between $5,000 and $10,000 for something that's about 20 minutes. So that's definitely a big goal of ours, to try and get those costs covered so we can get something professionally done.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've backed Jason Rising. I didn't know about Dylan's New Nightmare, so I'm definitely gonna have to check out that Indiegogo. And I was late to the Jason Rising because I believe it was, didn't it get closed off, or it was the campaign? No, maybe that's
yeah, no, I mean, they've kind of stopped and started campaigns a few times. We've actually joked with James about this, about like, stop closing them, like just, but I think sometimes it's just easier to start fresh with a fresh new, batch of people, especially so you can, finish the crowdfunding for one campaign, put that one aside, and then move on to the next one. It's a lot of work. I mean, crowdfunding is a lot of work, but we have to do it because this is how we get money to make our films.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, I know I missed the first crowdfunding, and I was like, damn it. But then I was following, and then I heard something, I don't know where I was. I heard something about it being opened again. I'm like, all right, now's the time.
I was probably resharing and posting for them.
Possibly.
That's one of the things. I mean, that's one of the things we do. When Womp Stomp kind of partners with somebody who's doing a project, we try to expand our base, because we're not making films 24/7. I mean, we are and we aren't. It just takes so long in between projects because we have so many other things to do. When somebody else has a project that's long, it's sort of nice for us to sort of say, hey, we have this fan base, we have access to all these people. We want to help you. We'll co-production. We'll help guide your project, and then we'll share it with our fans. And so, giving advice on crowdfunding, helping them spread awareness of crowdfunding, helping them build a crowdfund. There's a lot that goes into it. And I feel like if I really, really cared about sort of like like our secrets and stuff like that, like I'd probably sit down and charge people prices, but like, you can hire me to build your page. But really, it's just about like, hey, if I like you and your project, I'm going to help you. Like, I'm just going to help, and I don't want anything, I just want to see your project succeed. So here are tools that helped us succeed, and here are the pitfalls along the way, so you don't step in the same potholes that we have on our journey, and give you a leg up. And so that's basically sort of what my experience with these productions has been, is sort of coming in and just saying, hey, like, we've been through this before. We know how much of a struggle it is. And, sometimes it's just there to be a shoulder to cry on.
Exactly. Well, I think it's great, because once you help somebody rise up, everybody rises up, right? It's not like someone's just getting something for free.
Rising tide raises all ships.
Exactly. And I believe in helping other people out. I love indie stuff, so I'm always, if I have the extra funds, I'm always backing or bringing people on the show to get a little more exposure. I don't expect anything from bringing you on the show or anybody on the show. It's my way of trying to help, boost engagement and reach for the shows that I enjoy watching or know about. And I want you guys to succeed in your Indiegogo. So I think it's a great way to help out, because everybody rises, right? So
Well, it's one of the things I like about the indie kind of culture, but also
Hmm.
like film festivals and things like that. Like I just got back from Film Quest in Utah. It was part of like I just got back from like kind of a long trip. So I was up in Provo, Utah for the Film Quest. It was the first film festival I was able to go to since everything shut down. They had just opened up. You know, we had our vaccination cards and all that,
Yep.
fun coming out of COVID stuff. But it was nice to get back with people, watch movies, talk about movies, meet other filmmakers, hear their journeys, hear the struggles that they have, find out that like I know there's so many independent filmmakers like down the street from me in Sherman Oaks, like that we were at this festival together. Like, wait, where are you from? Oh, you're like you live 3 streets away from me. Oh, okay, great. Like, why aren't we working on stuff together? So it's a nice sort of camaraderie because we're all helping each other out. Like I met a good filmmaker by the name of Josh Sifter through doing podcasts and things like that. And now we're good friends, and I see him working on stuff, and we want to collaborate on things. So it's always fun to sort of meet who else is out there and sort of exchange talents and contacts, and just in the spirit of how can I help you get to where you want to be, and what am I getting in return? I'm getting to help you do that, but also like having experience being a part of the project. As filmmakers, we're not always director, writer, producer, doing everything and making our own projects. Part of the best part of doing this is bringing in people and building out your teams and making it easier on everybody, so we don't all have to shoulder these enormous loads. That it's we each can kind of now move back into our specific positions. So like for me to move back into just producing makes my life easier. There's less that I have to do
Right.
on the front of what I'm responsible for. Or if I'm co-writing, then that's my task. And so like any way we can contribute, we'll always do it. But it's nice when there's someone else who's sort of there. And that's where you meet people is on this circuit, in this indie circuit of people who are coming
Right.
together and helping us, everybody helping each other make projects.
Yeah, and that's great. We have a raid coming in. A raid, I don't know if you are aware of raids. Basically, when a content creator finishes their stream, they bring their community over and hang out. And so Plan B Plays is just raiding us. I wanted to welcome our raiders in.
Hello, Raiders.
How you doing? It's Plan. I am so used to your old name. It's Plan B. But how are you doing, Plan B? For those of you just joining us, I am chit-chatting with Vincent DiSanti of Womp Stomp Films, producer, creator, director of Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow, and co-writer and co-producer of Jason Rising, and co-producer of Dylan's New Nightmare. So we're getting to sit here to chit-chat and horror and all things fun with Vincent. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask away because Vincent will answer. I'll copy and paste it and make sure your question gets answered.
I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thank you, right? Somebody nice sent me the shirt.
Yeah.
I have this one that I wear, and my the Pathosis one. I like that. I also
Nice.
have the trailers here that we're going to go and check out. Hi, Monkey. How are you? We're going to check out Jason Rising's trailer, the official trailer, and then we're going to check out Dylan's New Nightmare. So you guys are in for a treat because we have them up. Let's see. Find. Yes. All right. So this one here, let me know if you guys can hear it. If you can't hear it, I will raise up the volume. I just don't want to blow your eardrums out. This is the final official trailer of Jason Rising.
Didn't you see the sign when you came in? This is Camp Crystal Lake.
A long time ago, some ugly-ass kid named Jason drowned in this camp. His mom worked here. She blamed the counselors, but nobody believed her. So she went nuts, ended up killing a bunch of people because of it.
Sounds like they deserved it.
Yeah, well, she didn't get everyone. This one girl fought back, cut that bitch's head clean off. This place is cursed.
It's time to wake up, Jason.
not alone.
That looks friggin' amazing. I definitely cannot wait for Jason Rising to happen. Again, if you guys, go right ahead.
I said that one's going to be fun. They do really good work up there. That's shot in Portland, Oregon, and also Oregon City and a part of Washington, Woodland, Washington. So that's sort of that area. It's really out there, Sasquatch country, as I understand it.
Right? Yeah. Interesting. That's awesome. No, it looks amazing. I remember hearing about it a while back and watching. I believe we even had James on the show. If memory serves me correctly, I believe we had him on the show in 2020.
Good.
Yeah, I believe so. I have to look. I've had so many guests on the show. It's hard to remember everyone that has been on the show. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. If you want to back Jason Rising, you have some time right now. They have some really cool perks. If you take a look at it, shipment is worldwide. And there is the link for the Indiegogo if you guys want to get in on it. The film does come out on, August 13th of this year. And it'll be showcased on Jason Rising's YouTube channel. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, that will be on the YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see it there. They're also going to be working on some live screenings in Portland. We're working on some stuff on the East Coast as well. So we're trying to set up something with the Blairstown Museum or something over in New Jersey. We have friends all over the country. I mean, fans from all over the country reach out. So there's lots of opportunities for us to take this to film conventions, film festivals. So we'll definitely be touring it around, hopefully bringing some of the cast and crew with us as well. But definitely check that out for Friday the 13th on the Jason Rising YouTube channel.
All right, perfect. So guys, there is the link to Jason Rising's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, and if you turn on the little notification bell there, you have the ability to customize what notifications you want to go with. So I would suggest doing that just in case if you forget about August 13th, that's the release date. So make sure you just click on it and then turn on the alerts, and you'll be notified when they upload a new video. Mike, how are you? Good morning. It's all good, Formo. It's all good. You want to know what helps? You want to know what helps an indie anything, indie games, films, is sharing. If you have any social media at all, take the links that you have here and post them everywhere. Tell your friends, tell your family. You may not be able to give $5, but maybe somebody you know might be able to, and they'll get excited and then they'll pass that along. If you do ! guest in the chat, you will get all the links. Indiegogo for Jason Rising, Indiegogo for Dylan's New Nightmare, and I am going to copy and paste the link of Jason Rising's YouTube. So share the hell out of it. Tell everybody you know, because you might not be able to, but somebody else might.
Exactly. No, and that is a big part of it. Sharing and word of mouth is how independent cinema really lives and breathes. So when you're excited about something, the best thing you can do is tell more people about it, and then that sort of just takes care of itself, and you've done your job, and it costs nobody anything.
Exactly. It just costs a few minutes of your time, and you don't
share it on your cat's Twitter.
Yeah, share it on your cat's.
Yes, in fact, if you got a popular cat on Twitter, please make them a fan of Friday the 13th and Jason and all these projects we do.
Exactly. You can make them a little kitty mask, and you know how they have little kitty bow ties and stuff like that. But yeah, sharing is caring. But no, sharing is a really good way to get things out there, and it honestly doesn't cost a penny. And it's probably one of the biggest things that help any indie thing, games, movies, whatever it may be. It's that sharing. That's like one of the biggest things, easiest things that you can do as well. Hi, Lagather. Hello, Lord. I hope everyone's doing well. We are going to go watch the trailer for Dylan's New Nightmare. Oh, wait. I got to get a better, let's see.
is.
Yeah, I gotta get a better selection of it. So we get the whole thing. That one was just for Jason Rising.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
All these contraptions. This is such like, yeah.
Yeah, I have
toys.
Yeah, all the little fun stuff and trying to pull things over. And sometimes YouTube can be a real pain in the butt with their videos. And then I don't capture the whole thing. Okay, so here we go. This is for the trailer of Dylan's new nightmare.
It's been 25 years. 25.
That's the actual Rex doll from Dylan's New Nightmare. I mean, from A New Nightmare.
Oh, is it?
Escape. Nothing to do but wait and watch. Trapped in the mind of a little piggy that escaped the slaughter. Too weak to defeat the Guardian. Until now. Now, it's time to have some fun. After all, Dylan, we still never got to play Skin the Cat.
Nice. That definitely looks good.
Yeah, that one's going to be a fun one. Let me see some of the. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with Dave McRae, but he is going to play our Freddy Krueger. He does the voice there, but that's not Dave playing Freddy. Freddy is actually played by a female in that short. We were sort of, when you're pulling together things for teasers and things like that before you have the budget,
Right.
you sort of have to kind of work within there, and we actually knew a good stunt actress who could come and do the movement, so we hired her to come out and do that. They also helped design the costume, so it's the same team that helped design the costume, which is really cool. But yeah, so Dave McRae will be our Freddy. We have Nora Hewitt, who is the winner of Face Off, and also the effects artist in Never Hike in the Snow. She is returning for this production with us. She's designing a brand new Freddy, and working with some other artists too, I think, to get that made. That's going to be a really cool look. Obviously,
That's
Miko is coming back, which is a real treat for us and for fans. It's funny, I'm friends with Miko, and when he's not acting, he actually does a lot of work on set. And right now he's got this big bushy beard, so it's funny to see him. Like, it was funny to watch him sit up because I haven't watched the trailer in a long time, and then realize and then think about, like, right now he's got this big, like, Yukon Cornelius beard on his face. So it's like, maybe we should have Miko with the beard. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have funny conversations before you get started in production, like, oh, what are we going to do with that? But we're excited. That one's going to shoot in Phoenix, Arizona. We have some studio space that we have booked, and then there's lots of great neighborhoods that we can shoot in and make it feel like Springwood, even though Springwood is shot in LA and it has palm trees, so it's sort of like a weird, like, we're the Hollywood Springwood because our Springwood also has palm trees, so so we're trying to play it off right. But no, it's really cool. And, I think that, when Cecil brought me that project, I was really impressed with the story. I think that it's one of those fan films that makes sense, especially because Miko's attached. It's, hey, like, if you're going to watch a film or an extension of Nightmare on Elm Street, it should connect to something. Or if you want to see it connect to something. And I think that, what is Dylan doing as an adult is a great question to ask. And the story is really cool. For those of you who don't know, it's like Never Hike in the Snow in a sense that it's an episodic. So this would be an episode 1, and then they'd want to keep going. So each will have its own little each episode will have its own little arc and story, but it's part of a bigger narrative. And I know that they hope to sort of go with that. But this is the proof of concept. It's mostly funded right now, and we will be shooting it this fall. And so any help that anyone can give us, or if you want to share it on blogs and things like that, or if you're at the grocery store and you see someone with a Freddy shirt on, say, "Hey, have you heard about Dylan's new nightmare?" Works every time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's great to know some behind the scenes stuff, that there was a female in the trailer. That's really cool. And you said that was.
I feel bad because I forgot. It's been so long. I forgot her name, and I forgot the name of the company because the notes aren't in front of me. I guess just to say, but yeah. But credit to hey, maybe that was the first ever on-screen female Freddy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like finding out the behind the scenes stuff. There was a question that I missed from Lament Butterfly earlier. And she was saying, out of curiosity, will the Evil Dead stuff be related to the aspects from Friday the 13th Part 9? When we were going.
No. When I say Evil Dead, I mean more like tone, meaning that there's comedy within the horror as well. That the characters are quippy and they're not always serious, and there's sort of there's a lighthearted affair to like very dark and like gruesome surroundings. So like Ted Raimi sort of has this great balance between creating fantastical big horror moments, but like surrounding it with a lot of comedy and laughs, and even putting comedy within the horror. So typically Friday the 13th, which maybe Part 6 put a little bit of comedy in the horror. Maybe Part 4 a little bit, but Part 4 is like really, really dark. So I think that's what's nice, is that like Jason Rising is like Friday the 13th Part 4. It's got a final chapter looking Jason. It's supposed to be like a pseudo sequel to the final chapter, as if none of the other movies ever happened. So this is like our Halloween 2018 retcon version of the Friday the 13th tale. And just sort of like, it's different when you're not directing. Like there's certain ways that I saw the project when I first started kind of going with it, and then James took it in his direction because he's the director, and I started to realize like, oh, he really likes comedy. He really likes making these scenes funny, and so that's like I said, like as a producer, I get to step back and I understand what his strengths are and what he's pushing. So then I know how to shift my expectations and say, oh, if that's what you're going for, then here's all these other opportunities too. Or here's, this supports your idea, or this kind of hinders your idea. Like if you wanted to maintain this, like, so that it's a lot of advice like that, or even just co-writing, knowing how to write in James's voice and really kind of curtail to what he wants. And seeing that come across on screen, it's really, it's a lot of fun. Like I've just watched a cut of it last night. And it's coming together right now. It's in that editorial stage where like most of it's together, and then there's parts of it that have just been assembled and put together because of the new stuff that we shot, and there's still a little bit of work to do throughout the middle. But it's fun, and it's a fun tale. It's a fun ride. There's lots of really cool scenes, and it's nice to see these characters sort of come to life. It's a nice grouping of characters. I think that's really what sort of sets it apart, is that each sort of section of the movie features some characters, and the characters are a lot of fun. The acting is great across the board. And the camaraderie between everybody, even the prisoners, and sort of their back and forth and their stuff, it's a lot of fun. And even Jason and Pamela, in a way, there's a camaraderie between them, because you've never seen them on screen together like this before. So that has been a lot of fun to discover things that we can do with both those characters and sort of set them loose.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and I really like the idea of Pamela, a headless Pamela running around.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun for us.
Okay, so you're at Part 4. Okay, so Lament is asking, Vincent, you mentioned that Part 4 and comedy. Will there be any Crispin Glover style dancing?
Not at the moment, but maybe we can do like a dance video and put it in the credits. The whole cast and crew just doing Crispin Glover dances, and we can dance to the music. I'm trying to think if there is anything. There'll be some goofy stuff in there. I do some goofy stuff. My character is pretty funny. we had a lot of fun. It was almost like not a last minute thing, but I wasn't supposed to be in the film. Someone else was, and then they had to drop out. And so James had written these two characters into the movie, and it was a lot of fun to be on screen with him because James plays the other character that's in the scene, and it sort of kicks off the ending of the movie, which is a lot of fun. So we were able to sort of have a moment, which was really nice. And then we get to meet our demise in a very fun way.
Oh, nice. And what character do you play in Jason Rising?
So the nickname for my character is Officer Playboy, and it will make more sense once you see the film. But I'm basically the laziest security officer you've ever met in your life. So I don't want to do any work. And I believe Officer Playboy was a nickname that one of the characters got in Part 6, so it's sort of a reference to Part 6 too.
Right on.
I can't say James's his officer's nickname because it's actually a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
It's not his real name; it's just his nickname. But
right.
For us, but I can't say it because it will spoil something very special for the fans in the movie.
Right.
But when you have me on after Friday the 13th in August, then I'll lead you in on what we were calling his character.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm excited. It should be a good time. So Formo was saying that they really wanted to make their dream has been to make a horror slasher movie. Some of their friends, and they made some short films back in the day. Is there any advice you would give someone who maybe doesn't have much education on how to do filming or anything, or get into it just to make short films? Any advice to...
Yeah, I mean, like the generic advice is always just to do it, right? I mean, you can't, until you start allowing yourself to fail and figure it out, you'll never figure it out. You'll never figure it out in your mind. I mean, like, okay, I've thought about every little thing now. Let me go try. You almost have to sort of just pick up the camera and do it. I mean, you can go on YouTube, they say that too. Like, you can go on YouTube, there's lots of instructional videos on how to do it. Yeah. But really, if it starts with, your cell phone, then it starts with your cell phone and putting together something that is just a series of shots. Sometimes just like, you don't always have to shoot to make something that needs to go out. Sometimes you can just shoot stuff for yourself to understand how the camera works. I mean, if you're starting that, but it sounds like whoever was asking the question has some experience. So it really comes down to dedication and time management. And expectation levels. So if you can get those three things under control, meaning that like with your time management, that you're picking out time during the week to dedicate to this craft. The expectations are, where are you at skill level wise? What are you trying to accomplish? And do you have the tools to accomplish what you think you accomplish? And then sort of the reflection of, what did we create? What is good about it? What is bad about it? How can we improve? What don't we know? What trouble did we run into? And sort of constantly going around that sort of circle of trust, really, and that camaraderie of people who are going to join you for this journey and not. And a lot of people will be there at the beginning. Not a lot of people will be there at the end. And some people will come halfway through. And so it's just about sort of whatever your goals are and seeing your part through the end. And if people come on and fall off, don't rely on them so much. And then each stage is something new. If you want to buy a new camera, well, do your research, ask around, ask people questions, learn how to use the camera, understand where you're spending your money. Do you want to buy a camera, or do you have the ability to go rent a camera? It's a great way to get started. Go to like, we have Sammy's camera out here, which is like, I would think is, we have like professional stuff, but I think in most like towns and cities, there's a Sammy's camera somewhere that will allow you to rent a DSLR, a Canon, 5D Mark II, 3, 4, whatever number they're up to now. Any type of DSLR will allow you to switch lenses and control aperture, control shutter speed, control all these different things. You do a little bit of research, you find out, what it is to take these things, and you can get started. The next part is to figure out lighting, and then figure out sound, and then start to build a team and start to learn how to schedule and do these things. When you get far enough along, really the best advice is there's never too much pre-production and there's never too much planning. When you got to go out and you got to do something complicated, you got to sit down and you got to plan it with your team. You got to communicate. Everything with film is communication. It starts with the director. It starts with the producers. They need to communicate to their crew what the expectations for that day are. They need to communicate to their actors what they're expected of them in a specific scene. They need to communicate to a camera person, this is the shot I'm looking for. This is the type of coverage I'm looking for, and understanding what, different types of coverages are. There's like you can kind of see already, like, you start to pull apart the thing, and there's a lot that's there to sort of learn, but that's what you discover as you practice. And so if you're just getting started out, or if you are, just sort of figuring out your way through it now, the best thing you can do is just keep trying things. Watch a movie, pick a scene you love, then try to recreate that scene. Every single element, from production design to camera angles to lighting schemes to all those things. And when you can start to sort of like match that stuff and understand what it takes to build a frame, and understand what it takes to build sort of like what goes into your lens and comes out the other side, you start to kind of get the hang of it. And then there's fun with post-production. So learning to edit and learning how to do sound editing and colorizing, all that stuff. There's so many things to kind of jump into, and it can be so daunting. But I guess as a story that you can relate is 5 years ago, I didn't have, or maybe 6 years ago now, I didn't have a movie to call my own. There was no Never Hike Alone. Nobody knew who I was. I'd been working in the film industry for 8 years at that point, and I had worked on 3 big films, I worked on 3 indie animated films, and I didn't made a live action production yet. I didn't know anything that I needed to know that I know today. And it started with me getting together with a group of my friends, and people who, and then the best part is, find people who are smarter than you. Find people who have experience and work with them and work under them and work for them and work alongside them. And, they'll teach you more than anything. And so the process of working with people who were smarter than me, I left my job in animation to go work in live action. I left, a high paying position for a low paying position because I wanted to learn. And so I spent time on sets as a PA, and then worked my way up to coordinator and second AD and AD on different size shows. But on the biggest shows, like, I put in hours upon hours upon hours as a production assistant, because that's what the union requires. And so, and it took me years to get up to the level of the fact that, like, being able to turn in all my stuff and apply for being an AD. And I'm sort of like right there right now, sort of like, do I want to apply for an AD? Is that really the path I want to go down? And still, even, I'm going to be 38 years old this year. I'm still sort of exploring this industry for everything that it has to offer. And you can never stop learning in film. So never feel bad about not knowing enough, because people who've been doing it for 40 years are still learning. Like, I've been on shows where I've been in it for 5 years and other people have been in it for 30, and there's still things that they don't know, because a lot of the times people have been in it for 30 years, they learned something the way it was done 30 years ago.
Right.
Well, guess what? Everything changes like every 5 years. Things are starting to change again. There's new technology that they're using on set that I'm just starting to learn about, that I was actually, I was up for a position, and, some of the aspects of the job of being like, hey, we're using this new technology now. And the kind of long story short of it is that nobody knows how it works. Like, literally only 30 people, the people who built it, but everybody wants to use it now. So now we have to adjust set procedure to that. So a lot of the time in film, it comes down to adaptability. And can you adapt with the changing times? Can you adjust the way that you used to do something, the way you do it now? Like I had to. Like, I learned on DV tapes and, bad cameras and stuff that, like, my film school really didn't have access to, like, big film cameras. So we did mostly documentary style stuff.
Right.
I hadn't worked with digital cinema all that much, because at the time when I was in school, digital cinema wasn't quite there. Digital cameras weren't quite there to capture video and have that at HD quality. So I sort of learned at the right time, when digital cameras were making their boom, when they were becoming more affordable for consumer, and now it's super affordable for consumer. So really, the consumer is a few $1,000s investment away from cinematic imagery. The consumer is a few $1,000s away from cinematic sound quality. And it's tens of thousands of dollars away from lighting, because lighting is always super expensive and lights are expensive. But you can rent those, and you can learn other ways. But that's when you want to start working with people who know what they're doing, and sort of doing that. Being a good filmmaker doesn't mean that you have to know every single position. It's just knowing how to bring all those positions to the same place so they can do the work for you. And all you have to do is be able to communicate what you want. And so once you learn how to be a good communicator, and you can find the people around you that have the skills to take care of each department, that's how you become a great filmmaker. You can learn how to do it all on your own, and I do advise that. I learn about as much as you can, but it's not as far away if you can surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and care about your project.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. I watched a fan-made film about a month ago. It was a Halloween fan-made film, and they made it with an iPhone. They made it with an iPhone, and that question came from Formo in 1975. But yeah, and it was a family project. I thought it was really awesome. I can't think of the name at the moment, but
what a great thing to do with the family, get together and make a movie.
Right, and they're a family that likes horror movies, and Halloween is one of their favorite franchise, and they ran around with the iPhone. Nothing special. No special lighting, just running around as a family pretending to kill each other, and it was definitely a good time. So you have the passion to do it, you can create it any which way, just a regular. They used an iPhone and an older iPhone to that. So, it wasn't made this year, the iPhone that they were using. So,
yeah. And yeah, again, it's expectations. They went out to have fun, and most of the time that should be your expectation, is go out and have fun. I mean, there's times when when you work in your career where it's like it gets intense, you have a level of expectation. So like on my sets, I have a level of expectation now. Like I can't I can't leave no stone unturned, because I am expecting myself. I put that sort of the pressure on myself. But when you're first starting out, you really you should do that to a certain degree, but you shouldn't. But you also have to have the humility to understand that you're just starting out. So it's okay to sort of screw up or walk away with something that doesn't work. I mean, the first, I've told the story 1,000 times. The first version of Never Hike Alone, there is a version of Never Hike Alone that I shot before I made the real Never Hike Alone that no one will ever see because it's that bad. And it was a big lesson. And I could have looked at that footage and said, well, I'm not good at this, so I'm just not going to do it, and walked away. And I didn't. So if I can come back from that, then anyone with a little bit of kind of gusto and some forethought can get past that too. It's just wading through it. There's a lot of frustrations, there's a lot of failure, and it sucks, and the feeling sucks, because you have something in your head and you want it to be something, and then you can't quite get it there, and that's the struggle. But that's always sort of the challenge. And if you like to be challenged and you like to keep coming back to the well to sort of keep challenging yourself and get better, then filmmaking will suit you well, because after time and time after again, things start getting better. Because what I shot in 2015 and then the way that Never Hike in the Snow looks are two completely opposite spectrums. So you just got to kind of look at that and look back on your progress and say, where did I start and where am I now? So if the trajectory is that, then in another year I should be even better than I am right now, and it's worth the effort.
Yeah, no, I agree. The passion is there, you'll get it done, right? And I think that applies to really anything in life besides just filmmaking, right? You have that passion, you keep going for it, and you'll always get better. Giving up is a very easy thing to do. Fighting for what you want is a lot harder. Okay, Kitty, calm yourself. I have a couple of questions. Lord and Mindfulness Wolf, their question is very similar. So, what inspired you to get into visual and video and theater arts?
I mean, I just grew up a film nerd. I watched a lot of movies as a kid. My mom read a lot of Stephen King. So when the Stephen King movies came out, I was watching the Stephen King movies because I saw the books on the shelf and I wanted to know what was these Stephen King books. And, I got into Friday the 13th and Halloween and Night of the Living Dead. My grandparents ran a nursing home, and I would go there, and the nurse had this box of tapes, and so in this box of tapes was like all Godzilla films, and so every week I
Nice.
would like go with my grandparents, when I was very young, and they would pick me up from school or something. I would spend some time at the nursing home. I would grab a tape, I would watch it over the weekend and give it back to my grandparents, and they'd bring it back. And so that's how I got into like Godzilla and Godzilla versus Megalon and Godzilla versus the Sea Monster were tapes in that box that got me into it. Little Shop of Horrors was in that
Ah, it's
box.
a good movie.
War of the Gargantuans was in that box. And so it was really, I just fell in love with cinema. And I was around the age when like Jim Carrey kind of blew up, so I was doing impersonations of him. Forrest Gump came out, so I was doing impersonations of Forrest Gump, and that's how I kind of entertained my family, was just sort of putting on these little like one-man band shows of like acting stuff out. You mentioned the family who made the Halloween home movie. When Beetlejuice came out one year, we moved into a new house, our family, when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And so we were in the middle of sort of remodeling the house, and there was just like bare walls, wood, and all that stuff. And it was Halloween. So my mom was like, screw it. Let's have like a huge Halloween party, and we'll put on a play. And so we put on a play of this mishmash of like Beetlejuice and other horror movies all sort of like squashed together, like best moments of. I played like a little 6-year-old Rambo with like a machine gun, and I like killed all like the bad, like Jason and Freddy and everybody were out there in the front yard like terrorizing people, and then I had my part where I come out and I kill all.
That's awesome.
Rambo kills all the slashers, and then we all finished it with a Beetlejuice Tally Me Banana scene at this long table that my dad put in the driveway. And so everybody in the neighborhood came out, and we had like the music blasting. It was a lot of fun. There were bats all over the house, spray painted horror movie posters. My mom coordinated with the local rental shop to get all their horror movie posters that they had in storage, put them in frames, hung them around the house. And it was sort of, I don't know, I guess it was like my horror baptism, really.
Right.
I mean, to be that young, go through that, and be able to, shoot down a bunch of slashers in front of all my neighbors and friends,
That's
which
awesome.
was a lot of fun. Yeah, and so I just sort of always had that in the back of my
Right.
head. In high school, in college, actually, I played a lot of sports. I thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I was, training to play professional baseball, and like most professional baseball players that you hear that didn't make it, my shoulder just didn't hang in there. And I also started at the same time sort of falling in love with film, because I was studying film and journalism in school. So that was always sort of my avenue, was to get into some type of production, whether it be broadcast production or television production, and landed in film. Eventually moved out to LA and got into animation, and sort of that's where I started my career. But I've always just been a big film buff, and just sort of, watching behind the scenes and things like that was like, I want to know how to do that. I want to be there on set. I want to do that. So it was a sort of something I got fixated on, and now here I am, 13 years in my career, still working. So it's been working off pretty well.
That's awesome. That's a great way to grow up too. That's a lot of fun. So I guess it's kind of a good thing you didn't go pro, because we wouldn't have such awesome fan-made films.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, I might have lived one dream, but there's this whole other side. And honestly, like, if I would have played in the major leagues, my number would have been 13, and I would have wore it because I was a huge Friday the 13th fan. My number in every sport was 13. And when I couldn't get 13, I was 31, or it was some derivative of 13. Like, I would always try to like somehow get that into the equation for some reason. I don't know why I became so obsessed with it, but it was, I think it's, when my friends kind of, and even my brother, like I remember my brother, after Never Hike Alone comes out, we were sitting down, and we were, it was sort of like a few months afterwards, and it was picking up steam, and he laughed, and he was just like, this makes so much sense. Like, if you really look back at like our lives, like, it would make sense that you did this. Like, this is so you.
Right.
Like, well, at least it's on brand. And it was really sort of, I always wanted to work on a Friday the 13th film. Coming out to LA, the goal was find a set where they're making Friday the 13th and be there and watch it happen. And so, lo and behold, we're 5 years into a lawsuit. I've lost count on how many years of a drought that we're in. I think we're in 12 right now. We're in a 12-year drought. So, so it just sort of all happened at the right time for me. I wouldn't say for fans, because I mean, fans should be getting official Friday the 13th projects, and technically Never Hike Alone should have been something of what I thought it was originally going to be. It should have come up right before the big movie came out. Maybe some people talked about it, and then the big movie came out and nobody talked about it ever again. I mean, that's really what should have happened. But it didn't. And so for some reason, we were lucky enough to the fact that people really dug it, and, it connected with the fan base. And, since then it's given us all these great opportunities, not only for like the fan film stuff, but I mean, it's helped my career. I was able to make that shift from animation to live action because of Never Hike Alone. People were willing to take a bet on me because they had saw that I had put this together on my off time. And so, hey, what can this guy do on set, on something that like actually has funding, and like he doesn't have to run the show. He's just going to be a part of it. So it kicked open a door for me and allowed me to meet a lot of other people and expand my career. And so, as I get older, as I keep knocking down the doors, we still have a little bit more Never Hike Alone left to go. I say a little bit, a lot of it. We got a big project that we want to get off the ground this fall. And then also working on original stuff. We have the fan film projects, but, we have an upcoming project titled Judy, which, like Pathosis, is it's directed by somebody else. It's directed by a friend of mine, Renee Rivas. That's an original project that is going to be debuting on his page probably sometime next year, but it will hit the festival circuit sometime this fall. That's one of the other things I'm working on right now, is another original production. We have another original production called Ghost Chicken, which is going to be our first animated project. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be my first trip back into animation, and actually being able to direct something in animation, which is something I've wanted to do for a long time. So we used the pandemic to get that going, and that's been a lot of fun. The Ghost Chicken script did really well on the festival circuit and the script competition. So now we took from that, turned it into an original project. I have two original projects that I'm working on, one called The Kindness of Strangers and the other one called The Beginning of the End. Those are both feature-length scripts that I have in production, or I have in pre-production, trying to attach talent and trying to get those going. So that's like sort of the professional stuff. And then sort of, I think what everybody has been really waiting for is, what are we going to do with Never Hike Alone? Because our original plan was obviously to do the episodes, because we had it all penned out. It was going to be, hey, we're going to do Never Hike in the Snow. We're going to release that in the spring. We're going to use that to raise money for the first episode of Never Hike Alone for the sequel. And that will be 2, 3, 4. And we'll do that all throughout the year, and we'll make them one at a time and be able to spread it out. And obviously COVID came in and just like kicked our ass. It's really sort of, it was really unfortunate, like just for the fact of what happened. And then we sort of had to sit back, and, it delayed everything with our crowdfunding. It delayed everything with just life in general. We were scrambling to get work. By the time work came back in, it was very sparse. And so we've been bouncing around. And so now that things are sort of settling out and the crowdfunding is coming in, we have our Blu-rays, and we're going to start shipping those out. We can fulfill our promises. Now is sort of the time where we want to start kicking up dust on the fact that Never Hike Alone 2 is coming. Nice. We have sort of changed our mind on the way we're going to execute it, where instead of doing the episodic, we think that we may now be able to have enough backing to just do a feature film. It's going to take a lot of money. We're not going to talk about it until we actually sit down and line budget out the script. But right now, what I'm in the process of doing is taking the episodes and putting them back. I took a feature film, broke it into 3 episodes, and now I'm taking those 3 episodes and putting them back together as a feature film with. There were just some changes that need to be made just because of the way that Never Hike in the Snow sort of evolved. It opened up a door for something. So I'm weaving that through the script right now. And then we have to go back and really break down the sets. But this is going to be like a full-on boat production. So the idea is that we come out in the fall. We do a crowdfunding campaign to raise as much money as possible so we can shoot that into the spring of 2022, which will require a lot of travel. We'll have to shoot it in about 2 or 3 different locations, with some special locations that we're going to go travel to and shoot in, which we have to do the production for this year, as far as like building those relationships and asking if we can film in certain locations, and then hopefully have it out by the 5-year anniversary of Never Hike Alone, that 5 years later we can have the true blue sequel to Never Hike Alone. And the entire function of it is to be sort of the sequel we never got from the Paramount era. So like Never Hike Alone was its own episode, and it was, you know, it told the story of Kyle MacLeod. We had Never Hike in the Snow, which told the story of Mark Hill and Diana Hill, which are two important, like, well, Diana's an important character in Never Hike Alone too. And Tommy's sort of been on the outskirts of these stories. And obviously we introduced Rick Colon as a sheriff and sort of built this world around Crystal Lake, and now we want to tell the story of Tommy's journey, which is the most expensive but most important part of this journey. And we needed to do our due diligence as you know, independent filmmakers to make sure that we could do that story justice. And like we talked about before, like have expectations in mind about what you want to create and understand, do I have what I need to create what I want? And so, you know, truthfully, we were playing the slow game to see how the rights would free up on Friday the 13th to see if it was worth pitching Never Hike Alone 2 to the studios. I have pitched to certain people. I can't really say who, but I have pitched the story, and there was interest to do it in a certain way. But the lawsuit kept us from having further conversations about it. So I sort of kind of waited and was helping other people, and was sort of needed to find the right avenue to do it in anyway. But now that it looks like, you know what, maybe it is time. Maybe it is time that the fans stepped up and we just said, you know what, screw it. Let's just try to do this as a fan film. I have to cut a few things out just because I had some really big gags in there. I was like, oh, if I get like a real budget, I want fire. Like we're doing a fire gag. Like, let's do this, let's do that. We'll jump off this thing. And, you know, you sort of like, in your mind's eye, the film can be anything. And then after, you know, 4 years of producing these movies, you realize what is attainable and what's not, and what your team is capable of on these budgets and what's not. It's not that we can't have fire gags. It's just that those cost money, and we have to get the right things. And if we can't afford it, we're not gonna do it like backyard wrestling and set Brian on fire and being like, well, good luck, and just kick him off a second-story window. Like, we're gonna have to just sort of be independent filmmakers and say, okay, if I can't play with fire, then what can I play with? Or if I can't get this thing, or if we can't get to this building, how are we going to do this? And so a lot of it has been, you know, figuring out the logistics of how we're going to pull it off. And now we feel sort of confident. We feel confident that we do have the support to fundraise and do it. We had, you know, when you look back, we had over, I want to say between, let me see, 20, 33, about 4,000 backers or purchases in the last two campaigns that we did between the two of them. Wow. In order to get this film made, we're probably going to need to do somewhere between 7,500 and 10,000. Right. But we think that our fan base is expanding, and we think if we appeal to the fan base and say, listen, this movie is Tom's movie. This is Tom Matthews coming back as Tommy Jarvis. He is in 90% of the scenes. We watch him fight Jason multiple times. And this is by the team that brought you Never Hike Alone. We're looking for the right budget to do this as a feature film. And, you know, at the end of it, we're going to deliver about 80 to 90 minutes of material that is going to be something that's never been done before in a Friday the 13th fan film. And, you know, we're going to bring that level of quality that we brought with Never Hike in the Snow. That was sort of what Never Hike in the Snow was a proof of concept to be like, listen, we made Never Hike Alone, and that's a great story. We have another good story here, but watch what we can do with a little bit of money and how we can upgrade our production value. And so we upgraded our production value and our set procedures with that. Now we want to take that short model and use it over a long term. So it's going to take a ton of support when it comes to that. One other thing we're going to do, which is a cool announcement, which I'll announce now that the Never Hike in the Snow Blu-ray is shipping, is that we will have the Ghost Cut on Blu-ray this summer. So that's going to be a precursor to the fundraising in the fall. Because what we'd like to do is do a sort of like happy let's get out of COVID fundraiser for a big screening. And so we want to use the Ghost Cut as sort of like the avenue to do this. So we're going to put the Ghost Cut on Blu-ray. We're going to try to introduce some new elements to this Blu-ray that won't be on any of the other Blu-rays, so it makes it really kind of exclusive. We're going to fix a couple things in the Ghost Cut, put that on Blu-ray, release it, and then with that money, it's going to do two things. There's going to be pre-production for Never Hike Alone 2, which will be some of the effects work that we're going to get going and some of the costume, because we're building a brand new Ghost Jason, which is going to be really cool. And then part of that money is actually going to go towards getting a screening together. So what we want to do is book some time at a place where a lot of people can get to do a screening of the Ghost Cut, maybe pair it with Friday the 13th Part 6 and do a dual screening. We've had a lot of luck with that in the past. Hold it at an event where we can pull some alumni there. So maybe bring Tom with us and bring Vinny with us, bring Andrew and some of the other cast of characters that are going to be there, Brian, myself, so we can sort of be there to do Q&As and talk about that. And sort of just kind of have a celebration to bring Friday the 13th fans and kick off what will be the Never Hike Alone 2 campaign. And then also some of this money will also go into the marketing, which is really important for this because we need to really tap into the Friday the 13th fan base if we want to get this film made. So yeah, 3,000 or to 5,000 backers sounds like a lot, but we know that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Friday the 13th fans out there. And the more people that back, the less everyone has to give. We all love, like, trust me, I love it when I come to my campaign and someone's giving me $10,000 to be an E&P. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also cool to look and be like, wow, there's 4,000 people here and they've all just given a little bit, but we've raised $75,000. So there's it's nice on both sides. So we sort of need a combo of both where we'll need a few of those sort of extra special backers who have that expendable cash, who want to come in and be a part of what will go down as probably the most ambitious Friday the 13th fan film of all time, but also a collection of other fans who, at the end of the day, they're going to get their name in the credit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all they're going to get from it. But you know what? If, 10, 20,000 people gave $5, then that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. Yeah.
It's a lot. And so, I think what we wanted to prove over the last few years was that we could be trusted and that when you gave us money, we were going to execute and we were going to execute to the highest degree and we're going to fulfill our promises. And that's why we really haven't talked about any of it because personally, I was like, I need to fulfill these Blu-rays. I need to get these things out the door and I need to have them in my possession before I can ask anybody for anything else to show them that, like, yes, we are still good for what we say we're going to do. And now that COVID is over, life will get easier for us on that too. I mean, I under like for the Ghost Cut to get done, once that Indiegogo would close, it would really only take a few weeks for us to be able to get the discs together. And that's what it would have taken for Never Hike in the Snow, if not for what we had been going through. So we're really excited to sort of get back on that pace and take our time, so if we raise the money in the fall, that gives us all winter to prep. And that gives us all winter to rehearse and all winter to build everything and scout the locations and block everything and plan our trips so that by the time next year rolls around, we'll probably have about 3 months worth of production where each weekend we'll probably do some small stuff. And then there are a few kind of bigger scenes that will take place in some specific locations that we'll book out like a week for, and then put it into our post house. Now we've partnered. Obviously, Mike Appy is our editor. He works out of Del Appy Films, and then we partnered with. I'm totally blanking right now. I feel so bad. But our post-production company, Laurelwood Post. So Laurelwood Post, who we partner with, they do our, and then Iceman Audio do our sound. So we have a really great post house now that can, we're pumping out stuff the same way that Netflix and Hulu and everybody else pumps it out. So you're basically, what's going to happen this fall is you're going to have the ability to fund what would be a Netflix level Friday the 13th feature. And it will be for under $1 million, that's for sure. Maybe even under, it's probably going to be somewhere between 250 and 350 is what we're going to have to raise, just because there's that much work that needs to be done. And doing production in California is really expensive, and there's that many days on set. So, it's just going to be that's the reality of it. That's how much an independent, even the cheapest of the independent features, that's about how much they cost. And we made Never Hike in the Snow between $50,000 and $60,000. So we raised $100,000. 10% of that went to Indiegogo, so we were down to $90,000, and then $30,000 of that $90,000 went into the crowdfunding budget, and you're looking at about $10,000 of it right behind me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's still shipping that I owe on that. So that's a $10,000 pile, but that's also another $8,000 in shipping.
Yeah.
So that's, so that's really like where a lot of the money goes. So when we say we're going to raise 350, probably 50 to $60,000 of that is going to go towards shipping. 10% of that, which will be around 10 grand, 10, 12 grand. Well, actually more than that, probably be, I mean, we might lose upwards of 30, it's, so we have to really we have to be prepared for that. And, at the end of the day, maybe we have $250,000 to $275,000 to shoot it, and that would be ideal. I think that would be definitely enough for us to do that. And if we ran into trouble, you know what I mean? Like, I feel confident that we could say, hey, we got 90% through, but we need an extra 20 grand to get there, that we could show back up with some stuff and people would support it. So it's, we feel kind of confident now going in, whereas, going into Never Hike in the Snow, we didn't know. We didn't know how many people were going to show up to see more Never Hike Alone. It's sort of like, yeah, people will say they'll be there, but are they going to show up? And the fans showed up. And so now we're seeing if we could really sort of beat the drum a little bit louder for this one and be like, okay, this is the one you've been waiting for. We're ready. If you're ready, let's do this. Hey, everybody get a Blu-ray. You know what I mean? If everybody gets a Blu-ray, then we have more than enough money to fund this project. And, we're going to see Tom Matthews fight Jason Voorhees alongside Kyle MacLeod and Diana Hill and Rick Colon, and it's going to be one hell of a ride.
Yes, no, that would be amazing. And, some of the best films that I can remember were made on small budgets. Halloween, Friday the 13th, they didn't have ginormous budgets, right? And look at those films. Look at them now. Like, they're cult classics. They make more money now than I guarantee you they did in 1980 and 1978.
Especially with inflation. Yeah, I mean, it is.
Oh, that too.
It really just comes down to, understanding, and let's get one thing straight. Like, a $2 million project from a bigger budget studio probably is making their film for about $750,000. Only because a lot of that money is going into above the line. It's going into one or two people. So, like,
right.
You think about like a project that has some lead big name actors in it, a lot of that money, like millions, or $1 million, is going to one person. What's nice is that everybody on these crowdfunding projects works for a price, even the actors. They're not charging us millions of dollars to be in a show. I mean, we do have to pay fees, but they're not as anywhere near as sort of like the big budget fees that they pay that inflate other budgets. Their production, like physical production, like actually shooting the film, for a lot of horror films is already is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's getting us pretty close to what you'll see, at least a lot of the stuff you see on Amazon and on Shudder and things like that. Like some of the more independent projects there will, for the most part with our team, be able to match, if not exceed, a lot of that stuff. I have a lot of confidence in our crew. DP, Evan Butka, and everyone that surrounds us, Nora doing the effects, and then just our entire kind of production crew, the way that we've grown in the last 5 years, where we were Never Hike Alone and where we are now. We run a much different production, a much tighter ship, and our expectations are even higher than they were before. So our plan is to really make something that, there's no denying that this could have been a sequel that got released by Paramount, and no one will be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. Well, and I agree that a lot of the budgets for the big films go for the celebrity names. There was something that Lament and Serial Killer were talking about, and actually Serial Killer brought it up, and it's a really good point when it comes to Indiegogos and Kickstarter. A lot of the downside is you need a credit card to deal with Indiegogo and Kickstarter. They don't take PayPal. And I think it's a huge downfall, because I'm a huge PayPal. I use PayPal for everything, and when I didn't realize I didn't have a credit card at the time. So I was trying to do Indiegogos back in the day, and they didn't accept PayPal. So the majority of the Indiegogo campaigns I wanted to work with, I couldn't because I didn't have a credit card. And then I did. I went and got one, but.
So one thing that I think maybe we'll make a little bit more clear, we sometimes we see that the PayPal thing. We have a PayPal through Womp Stomp Films, and in fact, if you want to get a Never Hike in the Snow Blu-ray, Never Hike Alone version 2 or version 3, one has the blue cover that sort of the art style. The other one's the black cover with the mask over the forest. And we also have it on DVD as well. If you email us at wompstompfilms@gmail.com, WOMPSTOMPFILMS, we can set up stuff through PayPal for you. So if somebody sees our Indiegogo and they say, I really don't want to get a credit card to get stuff through you, can I just go through PayPal? We can do that. And we can build you a custom perk off to the side. One of the things that we do with our crowdfunding campaigns now is we keep a tracker of different perks in Google Sheets. So we have a Google Sheet document that allows us to sort of track everybody a little bit better than Indiegogo or Kickstarter. Their tracking software is a little clunky.
Right.
Ours allows us to like sort of search our entire database instantly, change people's addresses, make it really sort of easy. And so we keep a secondary list of sort of perks for people like that are like, I don't want to go through Indiegogo, but I do want a shirt, a Blu-ray, and
I did that.
We just add it up. And is that what you did?
I did that for Never Hike Alone. I got this and 2 Blu-rays, which one is for me and one is going to be a giveaway once I get the Never Hike in the Snow Blu-ray. But that's exactly what I did, because I had you on the show and I didn't know about the Indiegogo for Never Hike Alone because that was already done. And you said the same thing. So it's wompstompfilms@gmail.com.
Yep.
All right,
and
I'm going to copy.
We usually turn it around. We usually turn it around pretty fast. Right now, my commitment is to the people who've been waiting since October of 2019 for their Blu-ray.
Yes.
So I have about 800 more people on that list, and then I also have the final call campaign, which is another 1,300 people. So it will be a few weeks before we start shipping Blu-rays, but you're just going to get added to the list. And so your name will just come up just like the other backers, and I'll probably forget who's PayPal and who's that. So you're going to get a digital pack too, with a whole thing that says when you're getting your shipment. The other things that we do have for sale, I should say, is I have the script from Never Hike Alone. I don't think I have one within reach, but I have the script for Never Hike Alone. We're selling those for about $20 a pop, and they're the whole script for Never Hike Alone in the back. I have 13 left, I believe, but I can sign it for you. And then also in the back is a map for how to find the camp that we shot Never Hike Alone at, and an Easter egg that details it was sort of the hint that we had Rick Cologne as a character. So we released the script before Never Hike in the Snow, and this is a letter from Rick Cologne to the mayor of Wessex County, Crystal Lake, about the renaming of the township back in 1990. So it's a cool little Easter egg in sort of the world we're building with Friday the 13th. So if you want to grab one of those, there's only 13 left. You can hit us up at wompstompfilms@gmail.com.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that's how I did Never Hike Alone, and then I actually got into the Indiegogo for Never Hike in the Snow. And now I'm in for the Jason Rising, and now I'm going to have to take a look at Dylan's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
But I think more people would be more inclined to do Indiegogos if they accepted PayPal, and I don't understand why they don't accept PayPal.
I've asked them before, and they said that they were working on it, and it's come and gone. It's just, I really wish that they would fix that, because it would probably open up access to a lot more backers for us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I also wish that they would do a cart system. I wish I didn't have to build tiers. I wish I could just have like perks.
Pick and choose. Yeah.
Pick and choose, and then build your own cart and kind of do those things. Because right now we sort of have to build it custom.
Right.
But that's just not in like. And then they have these things called add-ons. So if you don't know about this, you can buy something, go to checkout, and at the bottom of the checkout there are add-ons. So you're like, oh, you want to add a pin? Oh, okay, you add it on down there. Oh, you want to add another Blu-ray? Or you want to add a shirt? You want to add a poster? You want to add, get something for your friend? You can add it on after the fact, but it's not so intuitive that it says, hey, everybody, you can add on still. You kind of have to know about it ahead of time. So do keep an eye out for that if they don't change anything and we're just kind of stuck doing what we're doing.
Right.
But we're definitely going to work on that. And I don't know if we can make PayPal happen with Indiegogo, but we are always available through PayPal, and we will definitely make that clear to say, if you want to use PayPal, email us here, and that should make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, no,
it's good to know. It's a good reminder, actually. I'm actually going to write that down.
Yeah, I think I'll if they're on Twitter, I'll tweet them as well. I mean, because But just think about how many people don't utilize credit cards, and I don't even know if burn cards work on there. Like Ake was saying, you could probably buy a burned Visa, the gift card visas and stuff like that. I don't even know if they work on there.
I think you should be able to do that. I mean, if you get like yourself a gift card at any like a Walmart or
Yeah.
anywhere, you could probably use that. But if you want to save yourself a headache, just email me.
Right,
It's
right.
probably
And
the best way. It's the best way for me to track your information too, because I'm physically doing it, and I'm putting it down
Right.
in a place where it's always going to be, and it's going to be the first place I go to. So I would say that like maybe PayPal is better than Indiegogo sometimes, but Indiegogo makes it easy for more people to go, and PayPal means I have to individually process each email that comes in. So
Right.
so if you email me on Monday and I don't get back to you till Tuesday, don't worry about it. It's because there's 10 emails in front of you on top of all the work that I'm doing. So
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes me a while to get through it.
Yeah. I have a question from Lament, and I have actually a couple questions before about gear and all that. But Lament, since we're on the Indiegogo side of things, wants to know, is your percentage higher on PayPal? Like, do you get more money on PayPal if someone was to do PayPal over Indiegogo?
Yeah. In fact, we get all the money.
Yeah.
Every single, I think we're losing 3 to 5% of every Indiegogo transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, every transaction that goes through is sort of there. And plus, Indiegogo is a little bit of a liar. It says like, oh, you sold $500 worth of stuff, when technically like $100 of that $500 is shipping costs. So technically that's not even ours. That's
Right.
going to go right to shipping. So technically we've only raised $400. So there's a lot of misconceptions about like what raising money on Indiegogo looks like. And so that's why we have to be really cautious, saying like, hey, we're doing a feature film. We're trying to raise $350,000 because we're trying to get a buffer from Indiegogo from the money that we're going to lose from having to ship stuff in the end.
Right.
That's why it's nice. It's going to be a nice combo of lots of people getting things, digital rewards, and credits.
Yep.
People getting Blu-rays. Like the Blu-ray, it's not too bad. We got a system now. It's a lot of fun. I sit here with my co-producer Kyle, and we just kind of hang out here and put on music and package and ship. And
That's awesome.
It's totally worth it. It's a couple weeks worth of work. We get to, we spend a lot of the time doing it game planning. So we're just wrapping Blu-rays and talking about what we're going to do next. And by the time we're done talking about it, all the Blu-rays are gone and we get to move on to the next project. So that stuff we can handle. So it's just a matter of, and then after that, if we're finally done with Never Hike Alone, and that's the last crowdfund that we got to do for forever, then so be it. I'll spend a month just sitting at home shipping Blu-rays and shirts.
Right on. Well, yeah, as a content creator myself, PayPal is, even as I sit on this platform, I have a sub button, which is a button where people can pay $5, and I get a portion of that. As a content creator, I make more money through my Patreon and PayPal, more of a portion, and over Twitch, right? Twitch does take a huge cut. It's a 50-50 cut. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm always looking to support, whether it's going to be through an Indiegogo, but if I know you're going to do more and be able to obtain more funds through a PayPal or a Patreon type of thing, I'm more inclined to utilize one of those two over the actual site.
That makes sense. I mean, you just got to kind of find a way to, to make it work. And to get, as much of it as possible. It's just sometimes these platforms, I can't believe that Twitch takes 50%. That's huge.
50% of, a sub is $4.99 American. That's if you're in the United States. If you're in Canada, it's $6.99, like $7 and change, or $8, depending on the dollar. But yeah, they take 50% of that, and it's a big ouch, because a lot of people don't realize that they're paying that, and they're literally half of that's going to the platform. But you may
I feel
do.
like Twitch could definitely get away with not charging 50%.
I agree.
Considering how much traffic it already has. I mean, it's like, and that's the whole thing. It's like because there's so many streamers and there's so much going on, all it needs is a I mean, taking 50% of everybody, they must be rolling in it.
Well, you think about it, they have, let's just say, 1 million content creators, and let's just say every million content has sub button, and they have affiliates. So affiliates are able to get a sub button. So you don't just have to be partnered. Like, I'm partnered on this platform, And before it used to be just partners had a sub button. Now they opened it up to everybody can have a sub button if you hit X amount of hours and times, which, if you think about it, a million streamers all getting $4.99, Twitch getting half of that. Think about the money.
I wish I owned Twitch.
Right?
Because then I wouldn't have to crowdfund for Never Hike Alone. I'd just have all the money.
Right? Exactly.
We do a $10 million fan film. It'd be great.
That would be awesome. Now, Lament Butterfly asked the question earlier when we were discussing films and lenses, and she wanted to know, what was your thoughts about DSLR versus mirrorless?
I mean, it's sort of the same thing. I mean, DSLR, or either way. I mean, you could do the Sony A7S II. We did shoot with that. I mean, I found that, like, it depends on just what you like to shoot with. I wouldn't say mirrorless is better for either way, because I wouldn't be able to, like, really technically qualified to be able to tell you what it is. All I know is that I've shot mirrorless and it looked great, and I've shot DSLR and that has also looked great with the single lens reflector. So it just really comes down to more about how you shoot it and how you light it, honestly. Like everything on that DSLR mirrorless range is really works. You just got to pick the right sort of model within sort of each one. Like I shot with 5D Mark III, 4 before. Those shoot really well. The Sony A7 II, I think they're on the 3 now. That one's a really great one. You just got to make sure that the recording settings are good, because some of them are more streamlined and built for photography. You have to get something that can kind of straddle both lenses. But yeah, I mean, I've been able to get cinematic images off of both those styles of camera, and I wouldn't necessarily say one over the other. Your mirrorlesses are going to be a little bit smaller. So there is that sort of aspect to it. You can fit it in a little bit more places. One of the challenges with shooting DSLR is that it's not necessarily built sometimes to do a lot of filming or specific styles of filming. Like if you got it on a tripod and maybe you've got some other attachments to it, like a cage, and you can follow focus and all those different things, it just gets a little cumbersome. I find that the wires running off of it are insane. You're not coming off an SDI cable, which is like nice and secure and locked in. It's an HDMI cable that's kind of plugged into an adapter that, plugs into a small little port that if you nudge it the wrong way, it's going to get knocked out and you're going to lose monitor. That's the other thing too, is shooting with DSLRs and smaller equipment, you need more attachments. You don't have like a very good monitor to really review it in. Or like some of the other attachments of just like getting into a hard drive or all those different things. I find that I've seen on the lower quality, the Blackmagics work a lot like DSLRs, and they have all the pieces that you need, even though they also do use an HDMI cord to kind of get out of. And then there's stuff in the Panasonic world, like the S5 is really nice, which is a really nice sort of DSLR style, or the GH5, another one that's really good. We've used, if you're getting a little bit further up there, there's the Ava 1 Panasonic, which is a really good camera that does a lot of really great stuff. So there are different cameras you've got to kind of realize that, like, what am I shooting? Are you shooting an action movie? A DSLR might not be the best thing, because that's where you're going to get issues with like rolling shutters. You're going to get issues with wires getting caught because they're not built to kind of do those things. But if you're shooting more drama or comedy, you can definitely get away with it. If the rig or the load for the shoot is really not that intense, you can get away with more DSLR style stuff. If you want something a little bit more intuitive, you might want to think about renting bigger cameras. But if you get, GH5 is a staple, Sony A7 II or 3 is a staple, or the Canon Mark 5D Mark 2, 3, 4, anything in that range, you'll be able to shoot and get good results.
Nice. Thank you for that information. Reaper 1923 had a question right after that one, is when framing a shot, do you prefer to look through a lens or a video screen?
Video screen. I want to see what it looks like on the biggest screen on set possible. And because it's like, and when the screen is this tiny, you can line up your composition, but when the screen is big, you can look in the background and be like, is that a C-stand I see? You know, I mean, there's lots of things that when the screen is tiny, you miss in the background, and that was an issue. I Never Hike Alone, because we were shooting sometimes like a little monitor. I couldn't see the monitor, and when I finally looked at it on my computer screen, we were like, "Is that the truck parked in the background? How did we not see that?" And so you really want to give yourself, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a 50-inch monitor. I'm talking about like, you know, anywhere between like 15 inches to even, you know, 7, 8 inches. Like even having like a little Atmos or Atomos is key to being able to look at your frame and, you know, really study it. You know, being able to switch between the controls, especially for the DP, to understand what the lighting sources are, to see if you're too hot or you're too dark.
Yeah.
You know, making sure that everything's balanced, everything's in focus. The better you can see it, and I think as I get older, probably my eyesight's going to get going. So definitely being able to see it on a bigger monitor definitely helps.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Fielders, thank you so very much for bringing you and your community over here to hang out with us. Fielders was rating us when you were talking a few minutes ago. Welcome, everybody. This is Vincent DiSanti. He is from Womp Stomp Films, from films of like Never Hike Alone in the Snow. He's co-writing and co-producing a fan-made film called Jason Rising, and co-producing another fan-made film in the Nightmare on Elm Street called Dylan's Nightmare. And there is all of the information. If you guys want to check it out, there is the Indiegogo for both Dylan and Jason Rising. There is the YouTube channel for Womp Stomp Studios. And I mean, Womp Stomp Films. Why do I keep saying studios? And their Twitter, Instagram, everything for you guys to check them out. And he does resolute. I agree. I definitely agree. But
It's funny.
We've been chatting horror and discussing the films, what goes into creating them, and how they get created. I have another question for you. This is coming from Ake OG. And this says, is there an older scary film that you would like to recreate or, so to speak, or remaster?
Remaster? I don't know. I don't think there's anything I want to like redo. I would love to, I say that. I would, not so much scary film, but I would love to go back and make a more novel adapted version of First Blood. The first Rambo movie. I would love to go back and retell that story the way the book tells it, because it's really powerful and sort of blurs the line between good and evil, which I really like in films. If I could go back and sort of revisit some other like franchises, I mean, I would love to do a Critters movie. I have a really good Critters idea. Which is probably way too big budget for a Critters movie. But there's that. There's what else would I love to do? I'd love to do a Predator movie. I'd love to do a Godzilla movie. So those are types of like existing properties that I would love to sort of play around in for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun, Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Real CP. It's the bot that's doing it. Like I said in the chat, if you want to send me what you're trying to send in a whisper so that I can see what's actually happening, my bot is auto-deleting whatever you're writing. So I have no idea what it is. But that, I like your ideas of, and I believe you said that the last time I spoke to you in July of 2020 was the Godzilla. That's, I'm a Godzilla fan as well. Lament wants to know, would you get oh, nope, we already did that one. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with all my questions. I had so many written out. Neo Slayer wants to know, do you have the Slasher app? And do you know what the Slasher app is?
I do. I'm just so bad at social media. I haven't been on it in a while, but we're on there. I think Womp Stomp Films or I'm on there. Either Vincent DiSanti's
I'm gonna have to find it. I'm on there too. I don't really utilize it.
I just haven't been on in a long time.
I'm on so many different social medias, so it's so hard to get everybody in. And I noticed that their app, since the last drive-in, Real Joe Bob on the last drive-in gave them a shout out. They had an influx of people, and it's a little indie app. Right, so that kind of
it is. So I
slowed
think
them
I
down.
Get back on and connect with people. It was just one of those things where it's like another social media. I was like, I'm so bad at it as it is.
Real. I think the reason why is because there's a .p.s. You have a smile.p.s. Guarantee my bot's looking at that as a link. I will have to fix that. So I do apologize about that. My bot's being an asshole. Resolute wants to know what franchise has an easy lore to adapt into a short? A Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th?
I mean, Friday the 13th is a lot easier just because you're not dealing with the dream world. Freddy brings the challenge of like the dream world, so you sort of have to bring your production level up to a certain degree in order to have it done right and look good. Like, let me think of a good example. Return to Elm Street by a good friend of mine, Dominic. He released those a few years ago, and those were really good. So definitely check out Return to Elm Street. There are 3 trailers, and so that's sort of like, to me, one of the best examples of how to do a Nightmare on Elm Street fan film. Another good one is The Confession of Fred Krueger, which is a different type of approach to it, which is done by a good friend of mine, Nathan. And he did more of the last confession of Freddy Krueger before he was turned into the monster. So it's sort of another take on it as well. So it's sort of like whatever your approach, but definitely with the Dylans versus like having to do Friday the 13th, there's definitely more challenges to Dylans than there are with some of our Friday the 13th stuff, even though we've really pushed the envelope there with the kills and things like that. But Freddy sort of has like, you got to be a little bit more careful with his because it's a little bit more complex. There's a little bit more going on, whereas Friday the 13th is really just, I mean, you come up with an excuse to put some people in the woods and you have yourself a Friday the 13th movie.
Exactly.
I mean, you can screw up the lore, but it's a lot easier just to pull off, rather than having to be like with Freddy, which requires a little bit more understanding of the dream world and his backstory.
Yes. And I think we've watched a couple of those fan-made films here on the stream. About once a month, I do fan fiction Friday, and we go through fan fiction horror films. We've watched Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow several times in here, as well as I've seen the Freddy Confession one. We've watched that one. We've watched a whole bunch of them in here. And on that note, I want to show you guys the Never Hike Alone trailer and then Never Hike in the Snow trailer. Are they still able to get Never Hike Alone on Blu-ray through your email? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we have Never Hike Alone version. In fact, I can show it to you. Hang on.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have this one is version 3. This is the more modern. I call this the more modern cover, and then this is version 2, which was the original sort of poster that we had.
I have that one.
So we have both those, and they come with their specific thank you cards. So this is the version 2 one, and this one's signed by both me and Andrew Lady. And then I have some of the version 3s coming in as far as that. And I also have a DVD for Never Hike Alone. So if you're still on that DVD kick and you don't want to get rid of your DVD player for some reason, I have literally maybe 50 of them, and 25 are spoken for already. So anytime we order, we always kind of plan ahead. So I think we sold 2,300 something copies of Never Hike in the Snow. So we ordered 2,500. We sold 300 something copies of the version 2. So I ordered 450. We sold maybe 100. I think we sold 120 copies of version 3. So I ordered 150 of the version 3. So what you're doing is, if you want it now, you're going after the last little piece that I have left, because we're not going to reorder them right away. Once I run out, I run out.
Right. And I have mine as downstairs in my living room, but this is the second copy that I got from you for a giveaway. So once we receive the Never Hike in the Snow Blu-ray, which is going to be coming, guys, I will do the giveaway for both Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow together as a dual pack. So that's coming.
And then, if anybody wants to see it, we also have, we'll have extra copies of Never Hike in the Snow.
Nice.
So it is finally here.
I'm excited.
This is what it will come with.
Ooh, right on.
So it's cool. And then every one of them is just like the first edition for Never Hike Alone, which we don't have copies of anymore, but we do have. This is just so you guys can look at it, but this is no longer available. But the first edition of Never Hike Alone. So like this one too, we have them hand numbered.
Right.
So the first editions of Never Hike in the Snow are also hand numbered. I hand number each one.
Wow.
So there will be 2,500 copies, and then that's it. And then they did print off a few extra ones, so we're gonna order some special cases and do like a super limited edition in the fall with the next campaign and say like, hey, I got like 100 extra, but we found white cases. Like we're going to try and find the colored cases, something. And then so we're going to offer those as like a super special limited edition version of Never Hike in the Snow with special cards, so that they know that this is like the short stack special first edition.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We are going to go and check out the trailer for Never Hike Alone. And then, again, if you guys want to get a copy of the Blu-ray Never Hike Alone or Never Hike in the Snow, the email that I keep popping out here, contact that email. That goes directly to Vincent. And
we also have about 8 of these left too. So this is the Never Hike Alone VHS version 4. This very cool artwork.
That is cool.
So there, our good friends at Tapeworm Video. So you got like the cool stuff.
Nice.
Lots of cool stuff on this one. I'll also have some extras of one of the versions of these. I have 3 versions of these coming in. So I believe this is version 3, and then we have 1 and 2 are being built right now. So one of them has a cover that more looks like this, and then we have one that has sort of the first ever image that we did of Never Hike in the Snow with the blue cover. So we have that one coming as too, and I believe we have some extras. And then we're also going to do I had found blue tapes, so I jumped on them when I could. And so when they're done with those 2 versions, we're going to do a 4th version with custom artwork that we're looking for right now. So that will be available at future campaigns as well.
Right on. And yes, I always like special edition stuff, so if I can get my hands on special edition stuff, I do. I agree with you, Serial. I'm always down for super special editions. Because no one else is going to have it. You'll have X amount of people that will have it, and that's about it. We're going to check out Never Hike Alone, the trailer. This is the first trailer.
Ooh. This is the one that got it all started. Yep. Yeah, this is before we found the camp. This is before all this stuff. This was just when it was just an idea. Our original logo with the monkey foot. So that's the same lake that Mark Hill is running by at the beginning of Never Hike in the Snow.
Nice.
So today's mission, find the lake. This train's looking a little treacherous, but I have to make my way. Nothing's stopping me. All right, I'll check in with you guys later. Kyle, out.
This was shot with, just in case anyone's wondering, half of it shot with a Blackmagic and the other half is shot with a Canon 5D Mark II. So the camp stuff is all Blackmagic, and then all the trail stuff is Canon. So this stuff, that's a GoPro actually too.
Nice.
And then this is all 5D. Before we had the logo and everything, it was just our little baby.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Definitely a good it's definitely a good film. You can check it out now as well over on Womp Stomp Films YouTube channel. If you want to own a copy of it, which I suggest you do, there is the email. You can still get it. You can still get yourself a copy of the Blu-ray there, and Never Hike in the Snow. And the Merkins, thank you so much for the follow. Crusnians wants to know where it was filmed at.
It was filmed in Big Bear, California. So just outside of Big Bear, there's another town called Angeles Oaks. We were there. And then part of it is also filmed in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Nice. That's a good question, Crusnians. I hope you're doing well. And Never Hike in the Snow. We have the trailer here for that as well, which has a really good kill in it. I mean, it has a few, but it has one of my favorite kills in the beginning. But here we go with that. There we go.
This was the trailer for the trailer.
Oh, wait.
I remember everyone got so mad at us when we released that. They were like, "Why would you do this?" I was like, "Because we want to let you know when the trailer was coming out."
Yep. I'm trying to find the other trailer. Why? Oh, hi, Fusa. Why I look for that other trailer? Reaper wants to know, what do you think of augmented reality, and if you could make an immersive horror movie, part augmented reality and part movie, would you in the future when it's maybe possible?
You know, we did an experiment on the Womp Stomp Films YouTube page called it's called Never Hike Alone: The Lost Tapes. It was sort of like this experiments that we did with Cortland Gordon from Honest of the Odd, and then PG from Physical Gamers, and it's sort of like an augmented thing where, like, if it was virtual reality, it'd be a really cool experience. So sort of get that opportunity to go around Camp Crystal Lake and experience Jason firsthand like it's a ride. So that little tape, which is, I will warn you now, it's not very much Friday the 13th accurate. They sort of had this one idea, and then they were like, we're just going to have Ghost Jason show up. And so we just put Ghost Jason in it and created some moments for them to sort of connect the thing. So it's really cool. I think if you were going to, if it was everything we would do with Friday the 13th in augmented reality, that's a good sort of starting point to be like, if we had like more resources, this would be a great way to do it. Be really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ripper Mitch, for trying to put the link in right there. If anybody ever wants the information for Vincent DiSanti or Womp Stomp Films, just do ! guest in the chat, and it'll pop up all of their information. I found the other trailer for Never Hike Alone in the Snow, so we're gonna check that out right now as well.
Yeah, there it is. And that's a real snowstorm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was intense. And about a half hour before we shot this, that was all bare ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite kills.
This was a challenge. I mean, we were racing the clock. You can't even see when Jason steps forward. Like, it goes from like, oh, there's a dusting to like, there's 3-4 inches of snow.
Yeah.
We just had to move as fast as possible. It was definitely a challenge. Now the whole, that entire forest was covered at that point, getting to all this stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed Never Hike in the Snow. I'm not going to tell you guys the kill that I like, but it has to do with the guy in the yellow jacket. It's, I think, for me, the best kill. Yeah.
I saw the Merkins were in here. They gave us, they were really funny when they had Freddie review the trailer. I was dying when they were like, "Oh, he's stealing people from other movies." This is so good. Yeah, so it was really fun. And the one thing I love about Mark's character when he's running away from Jason, everyone's like, "Why is he running in a straight line?" And I just want to tell those people, like, next winter when it starts plowing snow, I want you to go run zigzags in your yard and see how well you did.
Exactly.
And anyone who doesn't eat shit, I'll give them a free Blu-ray if they can make hard cuts like Barry Sanders out there and run in zigzags through 2-3 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah, no, that's not easy. It's like running through sand, like on the beach. People think, oh, it's so simple. It's the beach. It's the snow. No, it's not so simple.
I know it always makes you laugh because everyone's like, oh, I would have done this, and it's like, okay, let's put you in the movie and see how you can do.
Yeah, right, Serial. We're Canadian, so we know how to zigzag in the snow.
Yeah, you guys are ready. You guys got your ice boots.
Yeah, we are ready for the snow. Resolute asks, how much have you raised for the forest in California?
We raised a few $1,000s. So we did, we wrote a couple of like small checks after the first Never Hike Alone that went up there. And then where some of the money went is we bought a bunch of tools and wood that we went up and we fixed the camp with. There was a lot of stuff that we had to sort of disassemble to get the camp to look the way we did. So we put money back into basically putting back together what we told them what we would fix. Not that anyone got mad about what we were doing. It was just, at the end of the day, we were taking a lot of boards off windows, opening up light and things like that. So we went back up to the camp. I don't know if anyone followed us at this time, but we called it Project College Camp because that's the original name of the camp. And we went to every single window, knocked out all of the glass, hauled all of that glass to a dump, paid to have, the dump take that weight, went back up, bought wood, some, nails, paint, things like that, just to sort of fix up some of the areas. And so after we spent an entire summer doing all that stuff, the next winter we got a big winter and it actually flooded the camp. So we actually have to go back up there and fix it again this summer if we want to shoot there next year. So we're going to build, coming out of our own pocket now, we're going to build a little bit of like a flood barrier. So if the floods do come back down the hill, we're going to put in like stones and things like that sort of just guide the water away from the building. Also, a tree fell on the building, so there's a big hole in the roof. So we just got our work cut out further. But, the tools that we bought like a push broom, some shovels, some stuff that we keep at the camp full time. And so volunteers, if you go up there, there are other people that go up and take care of the camp as well. Like we all sort of share the equipment. So some of it went to the Penny Pines Reforestation Program. Truthfully, crowdfunding, we've already gone through this. There's not much money in crowdfunding left over from making films, so there wasn't much money left over to give to them. But we were able to write a few checks. We were also able to donate a few $1,000s to the JD Mart's Recovery Fund, which JD was one of our directors of photography on the project, who 2 weeks after filming Never Hike Alone was surfing and got into an accident and ended up breaking his neck. So he's paralyzed and he's back in Massachusetts, where he's living a full, healthy life now. He's still in a chair, but he's still managing and recovering and still doing physical therapy. It's a long, long road. He's been at it for now 4 years, 5 years. Wow. But at the time, we helped raise some money for his cause. And then the other cause that we back is the Special Olympics. So we have a recurring donation that we do to the Special Olympics basically every month, just because of my history with sports. And I've done a lot of coaching in my lifetime, and, knowing some people through that organization, I was like, you know what, this might be a good sort of thing that we can always sort of do, since we're not waiting for a crowdfund or something. It's just something that, personally that our company can back and feel good about. So we do that as well.
That's awesome. Well, not awesome for your friend there, and that's a long recovery. Mm-hmm. I have a friend that broke his back during a motocross accident, so breaking the neck, those are important things on the body and takes a long recovery. So it's good to hear that he's doing well, and he's, Well, thank you, Lament.
No, it's just going to take. We miss him too. I mean, he was a big part of the first Never Hike Alone. He had a lot to do with a lot that happened. So, not having him around for Never Hike in the Snow was definitely a bummer, because he brought a lot of levity to set, and he's super funny, and he's super talented too. So it was the combination of losing his talent and losing his levity that we definitely, we missed him on set. We missed someone else to have us there to make us smile, but we still managed. But I know I would have had a lot more fun if JD was there.
Yeah, well, send him all the positive energy. Definitely, it's got to be a difficult thing. Definitely a difficult thing to have to deal with.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, cheers for JD. I agree. If you guys want, there is a exclamation point JUJU. It's a command that gives out good juju. If you guys want to throw some positive energy towards JD.
And if you look, I think it's JD/Martz MARTZ.com. I believe his recovery fund's still up. So if you want to help him out, they were always taking donations because he's still doing physical therapy. He's still, like I said, like it's years and years and years and years. So he's still working on that. So if you want to check that out, that's definitely something to. And they do take PayPal, so that one does work.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll have to get that link from you because I can always add that link in because this is going to go up on YouTube as well as my podcast. So I'll grab that link from you and put it in the description. So if people do want to check it out and donate towards his recovery, they could.
Definitely.
Thank you, Serial Killer. Thank you for the mass sacrificing spree you just did of souls. And the same goes for Seriously. Thank you for the resub. 12 months. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The Merkins does have a question for you. How did you guys make Never Hike in the Snow on that budget? And that's... Yes.
Yeah, a lot of pre-planning. So yeah, at the end of the day, we had about $60,000 to do what ended up being about 25 minutes. Most of that money went into Mark's death, went into Mark's dead body thing that we had, and then also the last death in the film, which we were sort of focused on for that film, was sort of let's do like some really cool kills. Cinematography wise, a lot of that comes down to us having a really good DP. His name's Evan Butka. He shoots with a Red Epic with an expanded, I think he's got an upgraded sensor. Like he's more into the tech than I am. I just say it's good. Okay, it's good. I trust you. But we shot with that. Tokina Vista lenses, which were really, really nice. Vista Primes. And then just a really nice lighting package. I don't think we shot with anything more powerful than an M18, for those of you who know the lighting stuff. But usually, we're on set with 4Ks and things like that. But we were able to light this whole thing with a pretty... subtle lighting package, a lot of intimate scenes. Obviously, when you're shooting in the snow, there's not much need for lights, so we were able to kind of shoot with that. But when it comes to the cinematography, that's one place where I really sort of have a big influence. It's one of the things that I'm most excited about tackling is sort of building a shot sequence. So we spend a lot of time blocking. I use something called Previs. We use Previs on Pathosis in the more traditional way where we, in the computer, generate the entire short and then shoot to those blueprints. The way that I do Previs is I just take my cell phone, I go out with anybody. It doesn't have to be the actual actors, and I just have them walk through the blocking of the shot, and I take keyframes and I share that with my DP, and I say, hey, this is the path that I want to take cinematically. And then that gives us weeks or months to prep and say, oh, if we're going to be covering it from this way, then we need to have the lighting set up that way, and this is a good space to set this up and that up. So it eliminates a lot of issues that you get into on set. Like sometimes when you get to an unorganized set, you'll run into the problems of shit, we got to move this camera, but that's where base camp set up. So now we got to move base camp to the other side. Oh, now we got to shift this camera. Now that's in the, there's a lot that can kind of hinder your cinematography in a way that you don't realize if you're not fully prepped going in. So a lot of our cinematography, because we don't have the time to really mess around, we do a lot of pre-planning, a lot of previs, and then by the time we get to set, we're basically just executing a set of directions rather than being okay, how does the scene feel to us? There are things on set that we discover, like in the Diana Rick scene where they're sitting down in front of the fireplace and having their conversation. I sort of had an idea of how I wanted those shots covered, but Evan was the one who said, what happens if we shift each character instead of weighting them with the weight of the frame in front of them, why don't we put a lot of negative space behind them and sort of create a little bit more of an interesting back and forth, and I loved that, and that was something that we discovered on set. So sometimes, obviously, as you guys know, you guys film stuff as well, you discover stuff on set and you sort of run with it in the moment, but a lot of it goes into knowing the foundations of what we want to shoot and leaving ourselves open for when something like that does arise where we can make an adjustment, that we're prepared for it, and we can upgrade as we can.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the Markins, Roy Burns, for sure, lots of white bounce on the snow. Nice man, looks really great. Definitely, I'm very familiar. I shoot commercially, not on the Merkin stuff, as it's meant to be a parody.
Yeah.
But I love the Merkins videos. But yes, now, the Ripper Mitch wanted to know, have you reached out to Amy Steele to bring Ginny back by any chance?
I mean, we would love to. She doesn't fit into our story, and I've heard of people reaching out to Adrian. Not Adrian. Amy Steele. I always get them confused. I've heard of people reaching out to both Adrian and Amy and talking about it. And I've talked to Adrian in the past, just like we bumped into each other. And some alumni are into fan films and just some aren't, and that's just their thing. They support them, but they're like, it's just not for me. And so I think with Amy, she enjoyed her time and is sort of just enjoying her time away from it too. I think she really feels the need to bring the character back. But if there was ever an opportunity, I know that I would jump at it, and I would love to make a movie with Amy, whether she was Ginny or not.
Right. Well, yeah, and I always would have liked to seen a little more expansion on certain characters in the Friday the 13th film, like Crazy Ralph. I'd love to see some backstory.
The Crazy Ralph backstory.
I would love to see some Crazy Ralph stuff. Ginny, to see where Jenny would have gone from part 2, right? And I think originally the Friday the 13th part 3, that's what they were planning on doing. But again, Amy, actually her manager, stated for her not to actually do it, and she kind of regretted on that part. And then there's Adrienne King, which I know you were about to say before, because she was part 1 and in the beginning of part 2, and she actually dealt with a real psycho, a stalker, right?
Yeah, we were supposed to work together on 13 Fanboy, and she had to back out because the way the material was written was very much, it was traumatizing to her.
Yeah.
So, we totally understood, because that was sort of the experience that we had. And 13 Fanboy, for those who don't know about the project, it's a project directed by Deb Voorhees, who played Tina in part 5. So she's the girl who gets the shears through the eyes. And so Deb put together this project with Friday the 13th alumni, Dee Wallace, and some up-and-coming actors like myself and Andrew Lady and Haley Greenbauer, who plays the lead. But basically, it's about these collective experience that Deb and Adrian and other Scream Queens have had over the years for fans, stalking them. And it's about a crazed stalker who murders a character at the beginning of the movie that is the mother of the main character, Haley Greenbauer, who's an up-and-coming actress who has to deal with the same psychopath stalking her in her adult years as she's coming up through the industry. And sort of she's surrounded by her mother's old friends who are all Friday the 13th alumni and Dee Wallace. So you have people like Kane Hodder and CJ Graham. Right. Corey Feldman has a cameo in it. You have Judy Ronson, Tracy Savage, Ron Sloan, and the list kind of goes, and Deb Voorhees is in it as well. So the list kind of goes on and on. And then, I went down there I was a co-producer. I was on set as a consultant, just kind of helping run the set from day to day, working with some of the stunt people as an extra stunt, person. So that was a lot of fun for me to see that happen. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens. One of the cool things about making Never Hike Alone and being so associated with Friday the 13th right now, is that, I've got to meet a lot of the alumni and actually hear more about who they are as people rather than the characters that they played on screen. And a lot of them have really interesting backstories and stories that have happened to them since they did their part for the franchise, now decades ago. Yeah.
And that sounds interesting. I actually, while you were discussing that, I brought up the 13 Fanboy teaser. Do you guys want to check out that teaser? I can show you guys that here because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, and you'll recognize, I believe Andrew's in it.
Oh, nice.
Yep, there he is.
When I was a kid,
I had a lot of fun. I was always harassing Andrew every time he was offset.
The only thing I had to keep me company was a stack of VHS tapes. Friday the 13th, the entire saga.
Oh yeah, Laura Park Lincoln. I should have mentioned the teenager.
You were my family, and so I wrote and I wrote, but you never wrote back.
Jennifer Banco, another one I forgot to
When
mention.
I'm with you, no one can hurt you. You're safe.
There he is.
I'm so sorry you had to die.
That's awesome. Does it say anything about when it comes out? Is it out already?
It should be this fall. They're working
This
on
fall, right?
distribution and some other stuff this fall, so they're working on that right now.
Let me just check to see if the Indiegogo is still open.
I think it might be.
It actually is, so I'm going to have to check this one out as well. Jesus Christ, all these Indiegogos, I'm going to go friggin' broke. There is, if you want to check out 13 Fanboy Indiegogo, it is still open. It is right there. The link earlier that I posted is the link to Deborah Voorhees' YouTube channel where you can check out that trailer.
Mm-hmm. And Deb's great. She's a sweetheart, and we had a lot of fun with her. And really great cast and crew. I mean, it was a cast of fans. I mean, a crew of fans. You know what I mean? So it was really, it was made with the same independent spirit as Never Hike Alone. But this is an original project, so it's pretty cool to see it sort of twisted in a way that, it doesn't have to be a fan film, that it actually be original production. That's, and all these people are playing themselves in real life, which is really cool and surreal. So it's definitely an interesting film, and I think people are going to dig it.
I think so as well. I'm going to see if I can contact Deborah and get her on the show. I'd love to talk to her about
definitely, you should definitely have Deb on.
Yeah, I'm going to see what I can find out. Vincent, Resolute Blood would like to know, have you thought about doing a separate franchise with Freddy vs. Jason with original characters or new characters, and how would you go about it story-wise?
We kind of talked about like the world of fan films and bleeding them into each other, like if Spirit of Haddonfield bled into Never Hike Alone, or if Dylan's New Nightmare is also in the Never Hike Alone world, and how these things sort of do that. Freddy versus Jason is one that I don't know if I have a plan for. That might be one of the only things I don't really have a plan for. The Versus movies are really not my forte because I'm so biased for Jason that all my Versus films would be like 2 minutes long, because Jason would just show up, mess whoever his opponent is up, and then walk away unharmed. But we have thought about it sort of in a way about like, ooh, what if, the Freddy from Dylan's New Nightmare exists and, this is the same world. Miko Hughes is living in the same world where Jason is real. He's living in the same world where Michael Myers is real. So it's sort of in the cusp, but it's so far out from beyond, anything that we've really had to put too much thought into. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a challenge that would be really, really cool. But I think if anything, I would have loved to have, I think if I would do anything, if I would pitch anything, is I would take a Freddy versus Jason concept and I would bring that into animation. And I would do an animated version of Freddy versus Jason and allow Robert Englund to voice Freddy, and allow Kane Otter to do a voice in the film, but also do all of Jason's grunts.
Right.
Maybe do the mocap too.
Oh, that would be fun. Definitely would be fun. I agree, Donnie. I believe so. Jason would beat Michael. Would you agree? Would Jason Voorhees? Yeah, I know, because you're a Jason fan just as like I am. I agree. I think he would. It would be a good fight. Don't get me wrong. I think it would be a great fight, but I still see Michael losing. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I shouldn't be doing this film because the fight would not last very long.
What Reaper is saying, you would like to see a Jason versus Predator fan movie, and who would win the fight?
I mean, that's unfair. The Predator would win pretty easy.
I think the Predator would kick some ass. Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, he would just blow Jason up, and
he's got the laser thingy.
Yeah,
he goes invisible.
I don't want to, he blows Jason up, and then Jason turns into a demon snake, and it gets really weird, and he possesses the Predator, and then who knows what happens. That would be a funny, like, Predator versus Jason goes to hell. I think that's the only chance Jason really has.
Yeah. It would be funny, though. But yeah, no, I don't think Jason would have a prayer against the Predator. Resolute, you said that you want to do a Rambo movie, and would it be a backstory or a continuation of the First Blood movies?
No, it would actually be a remake of the First Blood novel. So the First Blood movie is pretty accurate, but not fully accurate. And there's a big sort of element that's taken out of the movie that's in the novel. And I sort of want to explore that novel about like Rambo not necessarily being all good. Because in the movie, that was one of the things that Sylvester Stallone sort of kind of made happen, was that like Rambo couldn't be an anti-hero. He needed to be a hero, and he needed to be the one that get pushed. And Brian Dennehy was the bad guy. But in the book, the lines are blurred. Like sometimes the Brian Dennehy character is a bad guy, Teasel, and sometimes Rambo's the bad guy. Rambo murders people. Rambo has flashbacks and like kills innocent people. And it's sort of this tragic tale. And it's this tragic tale of, you know, of a veteran who is left to his own devices and was trained to do one thing and then put back in society. And so it sort of really makes it more real. And the way the storytelling is, the way the perspectives kind of go back and forth, I'd love to do it episodically and do each episode from a different perspective, and do it that way. And it has a much different ending, even different from what they filmed as the alternate ending to the original First Blood, that I think is powerful and I think worth exploring.
Yeah, I think it would be good. I like the Rambo films, and yeah, you're right. He was trained to kill and then just thrown back into society, expecting to be everything be okay. The Merkin says, if you were to bring back a Part 8 vibe, can the Merkins make the 80s track?
100%. I totally, one of my secret projects that I would love to do is Jason Escapes New York, and how Jason, what happened to him after he woke up in the, you know, in the sewer after all the sludge walked away, and how did he get home? So I want to tell that story, and maybe it can be a road movie, and you can do the road montage soundtrack. That'd be great, of him hitchhiking all the way home.
That would be awesome. And the Merkins, I will only charge 1 pound of Kit Kats. So they will work for Kit Kats. Well, thank you for turning me into a blob, Formo. The Ripper Mitch says, Vin, I'm going to have to email you the little piece in my short that I based on you with all of this Rambo talk.
You're going to have to check that out. That sounds really, really cool.
Never.
Yeah, I see Mitch kind of going in there. Thanks for stopping by, Mitch. I see you dropping a bunch of comments in there.
Oh, yeah, no, Ripper Mitch is just chit-chatting and asking questions. It's great. Never Hike Back Home is the name.
Right? Cool. I'm going to have to check it. Oh, I think you were I think I read something about that you were doing that. I saw that on Twitter. I saw that fly by.
Oh, don't apologize, Formo. It's there for you to change my face filters. It's there for your entertainment, my friend. And the Merkin said it would be amazing, and they would love to make some tunes 100% with you.
All right, we'll have to come up with something once we get to that level where I'm just like gotta go back to the well and keep making these Never Hike movies. But there's so many. If I had my dream, it would be able to do a streaming series of Friday the 13th movies that are, you know, each an hour long, each kind of like a Part 8 offshoot, a Part 7 offshoot, a Part 4 offshoot, like a lot of different things. And Jason Escapes New York is, I think, something that could be like hilarious, and even like blending something like if you took, you know, Escape New York, like you Escape New York and put Jason in it somehow, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, I would definitely watch that. I think it would be a good time.
The mashups.
Oh, yeah, I think it would be a great time to see that. Maybe something for you to work on. Okay. Make sure I haven't missed any questions for that. If you guys asked the question and I missed it, just re-ask again, because chat does go by pretty quick and I'm doing this live, so it does fly by. So if I did miss your question, please re-ask it. I'm not being a bitch and ignoring you. It's just that my chat goes by quickly.
Yeah, they do go by quick. I'm always like trying to like peek, and it's just like they just keep going.
Yeah, and it's so hard to catch every question. And I know when Mitch came in, they asked the question, who would win, Jason Voorhees or Captain Chaos?
How do I not know who Captain Chaos is?
Cannonball
Please check.
Run.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with Jason on that one.
Have I seen any Norwegian horror films? Well, I have seen a few, and like 30 Days of Night, and there's a couple of other ones that I have seen in there. Have you seen any Norwegian horror films?
I believe Troll Hunters
I-
is question mark. Yeah, I think
think
Troll
so.
Hunters is one, and that one I really like. That's one of the few found footage movies that I can sit through multiple times and watch.
Yeah.
That was really good. Trying to think. I don't know if I've ever seen any. I think Good Night Mommy was another one that was Norwegian. I know it was something from up that way, which is really cool. About the two, it's about twin boys who are sort of conspiring against their mother, and it's a really cool twist in the movie. I saw that at Telluride Horror Show in 2015, and then not Telluride, actually Stanley Film Festival in 2015, and then it kind of made its debut a year or so later. So that's another cool one to check out. I think they're doing an American remake of it.
Oh, really? Ooh, that's interesting. There is a few. I can't remember who. Brain Dead. Dead Alive has the other name.
yeah,
Everyone knows it as Dead Alive. I believe that is somewhere in New Zealand. Okay, I knew it was somewhere, and I love their films. One of my favorites.
Peter Jackson
Yes.
pre Lord of the Rings days. It's amazing. I'm trying. Bad Taste was Peter Jackson's
I
first
love
film, which was
Bad Taste.
actually.
Yeah.
It took years to make that film, and the New Zealand Film Commission had to give him like $5 million to finish it. And that was like their big thing, like, we can film movies here. Like, and so they put money into Bad Taste, which if you've never seen Bad Taste, get ready. If you like Dead Alive, you got to watch Bad Taste. It is a treat.
It definitely is, and I can't believe how many people didn't like Bad Taste. I own Bad Taste and Dead Alive. I love both of the films. They are great films, but I find a few people that I've seen reviews, I've read reviews on, and they didn't like Bad Taste. How can you not like Bad Taste?
You just have to know what the tone. I mean, that's the thing. Is what's your expectation? Are you going in expecting Peter Jackson to be at Lord of the Rings days, or is it like his first film? And like him playing like all these different characters, it's really funny to see him without the beard. It was really weird.
Mm-hmm. We have a couple of other questions. This one's come from The Shape.
I know.
Go ahead.
Mercs is so funny. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, just saying, like, who would have known that like, watch Bad Taste and tell me, oh, that's the perfect guy for Lord of the Rings.
Nobody, you wouldn't have thought that. You wouldn't have thought that. So if you guys haven't seen Bad Taste and have seen Lord of the Rings, definitely check it out. And that'll blow your mind. Guarantee it'll blow your mind. The Shape wants to know any way to include It's Me, Billy in that fan film universe idea.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, we have a great relationship with Dave. We're big supporters of Dave and his work. They did a great job. If you haven't watched It's Me, Billy, it's streaming on his YouTube channel right now. Black Christmas fan film, which, I mean, I think any fan of Black Christmas will say that maybe the remake world of Black Christmas hasn't been so kind to Black Christmas.
Yeah.
So, you know, that having that kind of tie together, I think it would be cool. I think there's something about the fan film world sort of holding hands and joining this all together. And we've definitely talked about, different ways to splice it. We're all the filmmakers and we hang out behind the scenes. We're all friends. So there's definitely room for it. It's just a matter of how do we do that? And maybe we'll find a way to sort of give each other little Easter eggs and cameos and things like that will allow us to share this world.
Interesting. Nice. Our last question is from Resolute. Vincent, who is the most influential character in the Friday the 13th franchise and why?
Who's the most influential character?
Yep.
It's obviously Jason. Jason's the one that sort of like is the lightning rod. Literally, in part 6, he's the lightning rod.
That he is.
But I mean, like, it's the hockey mask. I think more than anything, it's less of a character. It's that hockey mask. I think it was the hockey mask that you show that to anyone in the world and they go, Jason Voorhees or Friday the 13th. They know what it is. You know, we all love Pamela Voorhees and what she means to the franchise. and she is important. And I think that that's one of the things that I really try to stress in our films is trying to bring back the importance of Pamela. Even just bringing back the head in our first film, bringing apparition Pamela back in our second film, and expanding on her base, and then obviously Tommy Jarvis. I think any of the final girls, but Tommy being a three film arc character, the main center point of our films. He's obviously important to me, but the other survivors are important too, and each of them are sort of have their own responsibility to each of the fan base, because their favorite movie might be part 2, so they love Amy Seal. It might be part 3, so they love Chris Higgins. They might be part 4 and they like Tommy, but they like Trish, you know what I mean? Or Megan, or
Right.
Tina, or Rennie, or any of these characters, over the courses of the films. Each sort of, even, Larry Zerner is Shelley.
Yeah.
He's influential. If it wasn't for Shelley,
Definitely.
Jason doesn't get a mask.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
I love the fact that Larry Zerner is still so engaged with the franchise. Even as an entertainment lawyer, he still stays in touch with the fans, gives us updates on the lawsuits and stuff like that. Kane Hodder, being an ambassador for Friday the 13th for so many years, that when the convention circuit was sort of taking off during those times, that he was really the first Jason to cross that divide and go to these conventions.
Yes.
and wear the costume and do those things. And now the other Jasons are there and also doing that, which is really, really nice. It goes up and down the line, but it really starts and ends with Jason and that mask. And without it, the Friday the 13th may have been a popular film in the 80s, but I can't see it having 12 sequels and still being something that's demanded to this day without that iconic look and that iconic kind of look and feel of the slasher genre.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. You show anybody the mask and they already know who it is. They may not know Jason Voorhees, but they'll say, oh, that's from that slasher film from the 80s,
Yeah.
right? Or that's all from Friday the 13th.
Yeah. And they'll call him the wrong thing. Oh, that's Michael Myers, right?
Yeah.
Is that Freddy Krueger? You know it. But people recognize and they understand that like a hockey mask, which used to just be this object that hockey and goalies wore,
Yep.
all of a sudden is like one of the most scariest images you can think of. And somebody will, and how many times has the hockey mask been recreated in some way, shape, or form, whether it be like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where Clark Griswold has like the more bloody murder style mask, the Canadian Jason.
Yep.
That one, but we had a bloody murder mask in ours too, so which is kind of funny. So it like you see the offshoot of, and like it's one of the main things that I always tell people is they say, Vin, you made this great movie, Never Hike Alone. Why didn't you just make an original killer? And I was kind of like, because my original killer would have been a derivative of Jason Voorhees anyway. So do I want watered down Jason Voorhees, or do I just want straight from the tap? And so I'm going to take it straight from the tap. And I don't care that I'm not going to make money on it, because I'd rather tell a story with the king of the slashers than with, my made up kind of ripoff of the king of the slashers, which, might have been fun, but like I said, I moved to LA to work on Friday the 13th films, and I'll make my own original films when I want to, but I wanted to work with Jason. And so getting the opportunity to work with Jason is more important to me than, any of the accolades of saying, oh, I did my own original thing or that. It's like, no, I want to work with the best. So
I don't blame you.
that's what I did.
And he is the king of slashers. I mean, nobody tops him.
Well, I think Michael is gonna overtake him by the time they get done with kills. I think
Unfortunately,
Michael's finally gonna get ahead just because they've been delayed for so long. But then it's time for Friday the 13th come back and I think it's fine. I think it's great. I think sometimes the champion needs to get knocked down a peg, and then that just makes room for the greatest comeback of all time. And I think after the lawsuit gets settled, the fan film sort of wave comes to its finale, and the studios pick back up, I think it's time for Jason to make a triumphant return. And hey, maybe your friend Vinny will be somewhere behind the scenes and to help them kind of make something worth watching.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And Michael will unfortunately take over some of the body kill count, but the sun's gotta shine on a dog's ass every now and again, right? So
yeah, sometimes you need 12 or 8 reboots to get the story right.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Jason fan. I know a serial killer is sitting here cursing at the screen because he is a Michael fan.
Actually, Lamen has a good point. You have to include the space station that Jason blows up. So that's like thousands of people.
Exactly.
So they're gonna have to reboot Michael a few more times if he wants that kill count.
Yes, that is a good point,
Michael
Lamen.
in space. They're gonna have to do it. He's gonna have to kill his own moon base full of people.
Exactly. Is Michael gonna have the balls to go into outer space?
Right.
They all go into outer space at some point. I am waiting for Michael because so far we had, we've had Jason in outer space. So they all go Hellraiser. So we need to see where Michael goes to into outer space.
Leprechaun's been to space.
Yes, he's also been to the ghetto. I like Leprechaun.
I'll do it. I'm getting challenged. We're gonna put that in our budgets.
Nice. We are coming up on that time. I know you've been on with us for almost 3 hours. I don't really want to take up any more of your Sunday.
It's been great. No, it's been fun.
Oh,
is it Sunday? Oh yeah, it is Sunday, huh? Like, dude, I'm a day. Like like I said, I just came back from this trip. My days,
right.
I'm all off on my days. I'm like, for some reason I thought it was Saturday.
Oh, yeah, no, unfortunately,
right
Sunday. Monday is here. Monday is upon us. Before you head out, is there any shout outs, anything you want to throw out there that you haven't said or want to re-say? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just remind people that Jason Rising and Dylan's New Nightmare and 13 Fanboy crowdfunding campaigns are still open if you want to back those projects. 3 wonderful sets of filmmakers out there, working hard to bring more entertainment value to the fan film and original content world. Keep an eye out for the Never Hike Alone announcements and things as we work towards making Never Hike Alone 2 with a much larger budget than $60K this time, so we can make a full feature film. And if you want a copy of Never Hike Alone or Never Hike in the Snow, we have limited quantities left, and I have a wait list where you can get right onto the shipping list right now. I have it tracking for when we're going to run out. Just email us at wompstompfilms@gmail.com. There it is in the chat. Just hit us up there, and I'll be happy to process a payment for you through PayPal. You'll go right onto our shipping list, and you should receive your discs in about 2 to 3 weeks.
That's awesome. And I did that as well for Never Hike Alone. I missed that Indiegogo, and that's exactly what I did. After I had Vincent on the show, like literally 5 minutes after the show, I emailed him like, okay, I need a copy. I need 2 copies of that Never Hike Alone. And
definitely an investment for the future because I've seen them. And please do not go to eBay yet. I have extra copies, but once we do run out, they end up on eBay, and
yeah,
man, they're making more than I do.
Yeah, I know. I hate that. But that's why I try to get in.
For them.
Well,
It's sort of, from my standpoint, I always go like, that's interesting that somebody will sell their Never Hike Alone for that much, and somebody will pay it. The first editions are over $100, so it's kind of cool. So this is sort of an investment. After we print them, we're never going to make another edition of the first edition ever again. So these are get your stocks, invest. Invest in Never Hike in the Snow and make your money back tenfold on eBay a year later.
Yeah, and the Merkins says these guys are wizards with budgets. It's awesome, but gives me anxiety. Let us know if you ever want to collab on a promo for your films. We would help you in any way possible.
Yeah, definitely. Let's reach out and email. Definitely, when we go to do the crowdfunding for the feature, which will be this fall, we could definitely use all the help we can get with marketing. And you guys do such a great job with your fan base. I'm sure
they do.
Getting a shout out from them would be really helpful for us. So we definitely super appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. And I will be sharing as well. And no, the Merkins are friggin' amazing. I had the pleasure of speaking with Roy Burns in April on the show. It was such a good time.
Roy Burns. I always love that name.
It's a fun name, right?
It is a great name. Such a good character.
Yeah.
Not enough justice for Roy. I want to see a part 5 sequel.
It would be nice to see some of the expansion on some of the characters from the film. Like I said, I'd love to see a Crazy Ralph. I'd like to see a little more expanding on Crazy Ralph.
Crazy, a Ralph story.
Exactly. And what film was I watching? And I was watching it and I said, this guy would be a great young version of Crazy Ralph. Damn it. I've watched so many horror movies this weekend. Shit, now I can't remember, but I thought he would be a great Crazy Ralph as a younger version of Crazy Ralph.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's like, what made Ralph crazy?
Exactly. And how much does he know about Camp Blood and the curse of the lake? Because I really want to know and go into the curse of the lake, because Jason wasn't just brought back because of a mother's vengeance. There had to be something going on with that lake or that land.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. Maybe Crazy Ralph saw it, and that's why he's crazy, and no one believes him. But although I don't know who it is on Twitter, but whoever does the Crazy Ralph Twitter handle is hilarious.
They are hilarious.
He always makes me laugh. Like every time I see his post, he's like, "You gotta be damn shitting me."
Yeah.
Like this guy. Why does it always the same thing? But it's still always funny because I can imagine Ralph doing the stuff, even though R.I.P. Ralph. I mean, dead since part 2. But hey,
yes, he has.
Live in our hearts forever.
Definitely will. Oh yes, definitely will. But that, like I said, I would like to see more expansion of some of those characters. But yeah, no, I do follow the Crazy Ralph on Twitter. He is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely shout out to him.
All right, thank you very much, Vincent, for being on the show again. It's always a fun time to chit chat horror and see where you are and where you've come from. And now I'm really excited for Jason Rising and some of these other films that you discussed. I'm also excited to see where you go from here, especially since COVID is kind of dwindling out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we're definitely excited now that COVID's sort of backing off and we can return to life as normal and people are taking the steps they need to get healthy, whether they're getting vaccinations or they gotta, I know some people can't even get those because of certain health reasons. Like I have friends who had like kidney transplants and things like that. So there's lots of people out there who are still dealing with what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got to be careful. But yeah, it's just about taking care of each other, and it's the summer months. So now that we're coming up and we're a little bit more safer about it and understand a little bit more about it, we're looking forward to, returning back to life and getting started and making more entertainment and making original projects and fan film projects. Yeah, so keep an eye out. Just a reminder, Jason Rising comes out August 13th. Definitely check that one out. We have so many fun surprises in that one for you. Dylan's New Nightmare shoots this fall. Keep an eye out for Judy, which will be an original production that we're co-producing. And keep an eye out on Ghost Chicken. Ghost Chicken's our sleeper project. We feel like this is the one that everybody likes Never Hike Alone, but I think once we release Ghost Chicken, it's going to introduce us to a brand new audience. And, horror fans are going to love it. I think fans who aren't fans of Friday the 13th or just, like good horror animation are going to like this thing. It's been a labor of love. We got to animate it now, but it should be out within the next year or so. So we're looking forward to releasing that as well.
Right on. I'm excited to see this Ghost Chicken. Sounds interesting. But again, thank you very much for being on the show. I will make sure that I have all of the links. And if you can get me that GoFundMe for JD, I can add it to our description. And yeah, I'll hit you up right after the show and just give you a little reminder and make sure I have all of the info that you want to put in, because this will go up on YouTube. Unlike our last interview, for some reason, the video and audio were desynced, so I wasn't able to put that up on YouTube.
Oh.
But this one will go up on YouTube. Yeah, I still have the original interview that we did in July of 2020. But I don't know what was going on with Mixer or Beam or whatever the hell I was on at that platform. The audio is completely desynced.
Okay. Well, I got, let me see, I have this. I'm actually doing it before I forget. And there you are. JD, and bam, I'm sending you the link right now.
I just got rid of your camera. Damn it, how did I just do that?
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, there you are. There you are. I clicked on the Skype to get the message that you just sent, and it totally just removed your camera.
No, I didn't. I guess I could send it through. Actually, I like I said, I'm on two different computers, so I use my laptop to stream from, and then I have my sort of editing rig behind me that I do everything else. My little motherboard. So I send it through email. So I just send it from the Womp Stomp email to you. So you should have that.
That's awesome. Again, guys, if you want to get any information, want to talk to Vincent, want to get yourself a copy of Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow, or just get to have a chit-chat conversation, right here is their email, all of their information, their Twitter, their YouTube, their Instagram, Facebook, both of the Indiegogos. And if you guys want to get in on the Fanboy, 13 Fanboy as well, that's right here. Again, thank you so very much for your time, Vincent. It was a pleasure having you again.
And thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. You have yourself a great day.
You as well.
Bye.